sure about this?
There is no way home.
I'm up here all week. We're gonna die. I'm telling you, there's something out there that's trying to drive us out of here.
It's coming up from the ground. Ghosts.
What the fuck you're talking about? Last run, gotta make it. Woo!
No one knows that we're up here. It's Sunday, and they're not opening it until Friday. I don't want to die up here.
There's a corpse outside. That's evidence of something.
Yes, y'all, it's going down right now. Episode 275 of the Triple Shots of Moodz and Horror podcast is coming at you live and direct with the Mexicant, also known as JP. And of course, we got Mr. Saucedo, also known as Tyler. And I be your host, the toxic offender, Moodz. Yeah. What's going on, dudes? Happy belated American Thanksgiving to y'all's. Enjoying your weekends.
It's not American Thanksgiving. It's just Thanksgiving, dog. Come on.
It is American Thanksgiving. You got to say it, because in Europe they don't celebrate Thanksgiving, because that would makes a lot of sense why they don't. So
right, that's what I'm saying. So it's Thanksgiving. It's not like Europe Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
No. So I say American Thanksgiving because we celebrate Thanksgiving at the appropriate time, because then now we don't have back-to-back turkeys.
Oh my god, dude! Why?
What do you
why would you
call
want
Canadian
to
Thanksgiving,
interrupt?
though?
They call it Canadian Thanksgiving.
No, I think it's so funny. I think it's so funny that like having a turkey on like November 28th and then having it like less than 3 weeks later is so ridiculous to me.
You don't have to have turkey. Have ham.
Yeah. I know you don't have to, but I personally like it because like where ours is kind of like in the middle of October, and then you kind of
but it interrupts Halloween.
What do you mean it interrupts Halloween? It's 2 weeks before Halloween.
Halloween is all of October, bro.
Whatever. Fuck.
Listen. Ours is perfect because you have 3 awesome things to look forward to 3 months apart. You know what I mean? You have one thing each month. It's awesome. You got Halloween, all of October. Then you got Thanksgiving. And as soon as Thanksgiving's over, Christmas season starts. It's perfect.
Well, I had my Christmas tree up like the day after Remembrance Day. So
another fucking holiday we don't have.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Remembrance Day?
Yeah.
Do you have that? Do we have that, Tyler?
November 11th?
We don't call it. Oh, no, we don't call it that.
No, we don't.
Veterans Day.
Even have.
Oh, we don't go.
Veterans
we don't call it Remembrance Day. We just call it Veterans Day.
Yeah, it's the same fucking thing.
Well,
exactly. Of course, we both have the same day because fucking, yeah.
You're stripping
because
away.
Our asses fought together. Because that's what we call it.
But what about Veterans Day?
It's the same fucking thing. We're remembering the veterans. I'm not making this shit up, man. I don't make the rules. I didn't make that name, man. That's what I go. That's
what's Boxing Day? What's that one?
The day after Christmas.
Yeah, it's the day after Christmas.
What is that? What is that holiday for?
Boxing.
It's fucking.
Is it boxing?
It has nothing to do with boxing. It's just an excuse to go spend all your Christmas money the next day. It's literally. See, we came up with Black Friday before you guys, but it was just the day after Christmas. It's just another way to spend all your fucking hard-earned money on a stupid day that has a specific name. Black Friday, which we also fucking celebrate too, which is actually this past Friday. But then we have a second, like we had Boxing Day, and then Black Friday became a thing, more or less recently, but we always had Boxing Day. It was just the equivalent of Black Friday, same shit. the stupid ass sales, but it's actually kind of nice because the day after Christmas sales, like that's usually when a lot of people go out and buy like their TVs and all their electronics and stuff, because that's when you get the best sales. That was always the thing growing up was, well, let's go get our TV now. I always remember like everyone always buying the TV the day after Christmas. It's kind of funny, but whatever. It is what it is. It's just all fucking, it's all capitalism at its finest. So. Yeah. So what do you guys do this weekend? Obviously.
Drank a lot and watched a lot of Netflix.
You know, it's funny, man. Like we have friends. Actually, the wife was going to do it this year, but of course she was off work for 6 weeks. So she ended up not taking off American Thanksgiving. But yeah, our friend Randy, she took the day off work and she was cooking appies up at 9, and she celebrates American Thanksgiving by watching football all day and shit. And I know a lot of people that actually do that in Canada.
That's the reason I like Thanksgiving the most. Like one of my favorite things about that holiday is that there's 3 football games on. So, you know, back to back to back, and you just eat food all day and watch football. It's like it's the most American thing ever.
See, what we have for Christmas and Boxing Day and like that week between Christmas and New Year's is the thing called the World Juniors for hockey. It's like Canada lives for this tournament every single year. I'm sure Tyler knows about it. It's the biggest tournament. It's like the biggest tournament in the world for juniors.
Yeah.
And
like when you like hear when you're like
awesome.
reading about like hockey prospects, like it always like talks about like, oh, and they won like gold at the World Juniors or something, like in their resume.
Sports talk.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I knew for a fact. Somebody said that we talked about sports for an hour on that. I'm like, the whole intro was an hour. I'm like, the whole fucking intro was an hour. What, we didn't talk. It was probably the latter part. It was probably over half an hour, but I'm like, an hour, that's a little bit of an exaggeration. Come on, people. No, but I mean, when you're thinking Thanksgiving, it's kind of hard not to bring up football, right? Because, you know, it's a big thing, big tradition. So
we were at my girlfriend's on Thanksgiving, and they gave me the remote to put on whatever, and I just put on Silence of the Lambs for everyone.
That's very festive.
Yeah. Why didn't you?
I thought you were going to say Silence, Silent Night, Deadly Night when you said Silence.
No, we actually watched that last night.
Yeah, I've been on the Christmas kick too, man. I've been mixing up. I've been watching like, you know, non-horror favorites and horror all mixed in and stuff. So
I don't have time to watch anything.
We realize those Hallmark movies you like.
Yeah,
Netflix just makes those now. They're just higher production like Hallmark movies.
That's so funny,
dude. There is literally, it's actually like disgusting how many of those type of movies exist.
Well, I think Jeremy told us that they usually make like between 20 and 30 in the summertime, and then they of course all you know, air around the holiday time. But they produce like 20 to 30 every year, new ones. It's so crazy to me that they do that many, and they're all filmed like in the same locations. It's fucking hilarious, man.
We watched two pretty drunken bangers the other day that came out this year. Oh my goodness! One of them, like, I guess Lindsay Lohan is like the queen of these now. She's in like 3 of them, like that came out like the last.
I think I saw her in one of them. Like she was in one a couple years back, wasn't she?
She's in one that came out last year. We didn't watch.
Oh, maybe it was last year.
It's called I forgot what it's called. it's called like Falling for Christmas or something, but it's about her falling off a cliff and like losing her memory on Christmas.
What?
I swear to God.
That's kind of a different narrative because they're usually all the same stories. It's really funny, just with different TV actors. It's pretty funny, actually.
But we did watch one that she was in that was called Our Little Secret, where like she had a falling out with a boyfriend, and then they like go to Christmas dinner like 10 years later with their new boyfriend and girlfriends, and then it's like their boyfriend and girlfriends are sisters. So they like pretend they don't know each other. It's one of those. We watched a better one though. It was called The Merry Gentleman. Oh my God. It was like Magic Mike, like for like middle-aged women.
Sounds like they're trying to switch up these atypical narratives right now in these ones. Those are kind of different.
It was the typical, like it's always like a city guy or girl like goes back to
their small town.
Yeah, exactly. So it was one of those. It was this Broadway girl that got kicked off.
Hey, Mary Lou,
show.
I haven't seen you since we were teenagers.
Literally, it's like literally that. She got kicked off like her Broadway show for being too old, and she goes back and her parents' dive bar is failing, so she starts like a shirtless like dance show called The Merry Gentleman to win the bar back. And it's like and the guy interest is Chad Michael Murray, and I swear to God, on set they were just like, "Do your best Brad Pitt impression the entire movie." They dyed his hair blonde and like slicked it back, and the whole movie he was like kind of talking in that like too cool to be in this movie voice.
Yeah, right. That's how they are.
Yeah, I've been doing it up though, man. Like so far in the last like basically week, I've watched fucking Bad Santa, Christmas Vacation, Better Watch Out, Christmas Bloody Christmas, To All a Good Night.
Oh yeah, you've been on it.
Home Alone 2, The Night Before, Office Christmas Party, Another Wolf Cop, Scrooged, and then last night I watched Die Hard, Violent Night, and All Through the House.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been giving her, man. I've been mixing it up, like some of the the family favorite. Well, I shouldn't say families. Most of those are like rated R, made for adult comedies, but mixing up with the horror too. So do it every year. I actually haven't watched any Hallmark this year, surprisingly. Kind of weird for me.
I mean, it's pretty early. It's December 1st.
Yeah, no, a lot of those like that's basically like 3 nights too. Like I've had these like extensive
that's
like
crazy.
Christmas
I don't think I've watched anything. Anything that's Christmas. I did watch Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2.
Man, I think it's really fun, dude. I know, man, I saw a review just the other day. Somebody was talking about this movie, how they fucking just hated it, just ripped it apart, man.
I thought it was better than the first one, I think.
I like the second one also because it introduces some more characters and stuff. And it's like
the owl is cool, dude.
Yeah, it's like outrageous though, man. It's like they're so like the kills are so bloody. It's the narrative is just so out there too. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like I like what they did with incorporating these characters and like how they explain away like the first film and stuff. And like I think it's pretty cool, man. It's fun. I can see this being a franchise that I'm going to enjoy. They keep making them at this.
Yeah, they're. I think they're doing They even teased it at the end of this one. A Pinocchio story, a Bambi story.
Yeah,
and
isn't there like a Mickey Mouse one that's supposed to?
Is the Bambi story going to be like a revenge film?
So I don't know, but
you think it would be, right?
Apparently, and then the third Winnie the Pooh one is being made now, and then apparently they're gonna do one called the Pooniverse. I guess that's real.
Oh God,
the Pooniverse, dude. That sounds like a porno.
It's gonna feature all the characters from those other ones.
Oh my God, dude, this thing's getting out of control. But that Bambi thing, man, right away, that just sounds like a fucking revenge film. That'd be pretty funny. But yeah. Like I honestly, like I really enjoyed the first one. I don't remember you even mentioning the first one, but
I saw it in the theater.
Yeah, it's cool. That's cool. Like I
liked it.
It took me a while to watch it because I honestly thought it was going to be like a really low budget indie film that was just not going to work. Like it was going to be terrible.
I mean, it was pretty low budget, but I feel like they did pretty well with what they had.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like it's low budget, but they definitely made it look a lot better than it probably should have. But but you can see the budget. They upped the budget for the second one completely.
Well, yeah, because the first one was actually like a big success.
Yeah, so they definitely got a lot more funding for that second one. You can tell. I mean, obviously, with the addition of the characters, and it's a longer movie, and there's a lot going on. There honestly is a lot going on. But I'm just really impressed with like how mean spirited these fucking movies are, man. Like,
I love it.
Shit.
Oh, that's what you got.
That's what I like about this, man. And like, I think that. I mean, Dave Z would probably never watch this because you think they're going to be full of comedy and like ridiculous, but they're actually the polar opposite of really what you think they're going to be.
Yeah. They did have a good bit of one-liners.
Yeah, but it's not like physical, goofy comedy. You know what I mean? Like really silly and out there. Like it takes itself almost too serious, which is actually part of the joke, I think.
Well, it's more like Freddy comedy.
Yeah,
where it's sinister.
It's dark. It is fucking dark though. Like these kills and shit. I'm just like, oh my God, man, it's fucking awesome.
I didn't watch this one yet, but I plan on watching this one. I didn't really like the first one, but like even if like I don't like it, I think like these are movies that like I should watch anyway because like everybody watches these movies and they're kind of like culturally like significant.
They're definitely
what I've been doing right now is I just put like I don't know like 30 movies that are on my watch list in a playlist on MB and I just shuffle it. So I basically have been watching one a day for the last 3 days with just at random. And the other one that came up was 9 cameras. Or 9 windows. I don't recommend it.
What's that?
It's like about this girl in a wheelchair who's like sort of a troll online and stuff. It's just kind of stupid. And
Jesus.
then the other one was another one that I thought was kind of weak, but the name is escaping me right now. And I started VHS Beyond, but I fell asleep. And that one, the first segment in that one's pretty good. But I heard mainly negative stuff about this new VHS. Did you guys see it yet?
I didn't
Yeah,
see it.
it's
Still
probably
wanna
my
watch.
it's probably my like my least favorite is Viral, and this one's just above that one. This is my second least favorite of the whole franchise. I didn't like honestly like nothing was there was a couple stories that were pretty decent, but overall like it felt weak to me.
Yeah. The first segment I thought was good, but like I said, I fell asleep like right after the first segment.
Yeah.
That's the one where they're like going into the attic with the stork or
Mhm.
whatever. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you like that one?
It's okay.
Oh.
I like the I think it's the third story. I think that's the diving one. That one's pretty cool.
Oh, the other movie I watched was Afraid, which everybody hated, but I liked.
Actually, you know what I watched? The only movie besides our prep movies for the podcast, Sin Bin included. The only movie I watched this week that wasn't Christmas related or podcast related was actually on JP's head right now. Nightmare on Elm Street. I've watched,
4K?
yeah, because I got the 4K like a while ago, and I just hadn't gotten around to it. And I was like, you know what? I had it sitting on my poker table. I'm like, I don't know why I was just sitting there lonely. It was like all alone. I must have pulled it out because I was going to watch it or whatever. But I'm like, fuck this. I'm just going to watch it. It looks beautiful, man. It really like it just looks good. It sounds good. It looks good. I mean, it's Nightmare on Elm Street, but it always rekindles it's my favorite franchise. But every time I watch that movie, I'm just like, damn, dude, this is such a good movie. Like Freddy's legit fucking scary in that shit. Like the music, it's just such a good movie, man. I love it.
Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah, it is a good movie.
But it's just I know how much I love it. But then when you rewatch it, it's like rekindling your love,
think
right?
Whenever you rewatch it with like a modern eye and like modern criticisms and stuff, and you watch like literally like the first scene up until Tina's death, it is just absolutely like perfect horror. Like just from when Tina first starts dreaming, it's just I love all those scenes with the long arm Freddy and like his face coming off, and then did you see because it's the uncut version, right? So the Tina death is more like way more brutal.
Yeah, it's a little extent. That death scene is still shocking to watch. Like I love the way, like obviously we've seen the documentary, we've seen the special features on how they actually shot that. It's pretty cool, man. Like it's really creative the way they did that scene, but it's so vicious, man. It's just viciously edited, and just the way it's just brutal, dude. That's a brutal death scene, man. Honestly, it's shocking, but it just
I love
works
that.
well. Yeah, it works really well because it's horrific. So
Finally got around to Smile 2 this week before it left theaters.
that's a big hunk of fucking diarrhea.
Yeah, it was very good.
It's bad, man. I honestly like. I respect people that like shit that I don't. Of course, I don't care if you like something I don't, but I just don't understand the like for this movie, man.
One thing I found weird about it, and because I see a lot of people like really praising the lead's performance, but like I didn't feel like. Did you feel like they were trying to make her likable? I felt like she wasn't like really a likable character.
Well, she's kind of like that. I don't think she's overly that likable because that
like I'm not saying she's like a bad,
wealthy and like
unlikable, but it's like
she lives on a pedestal
to like make me actually care about this person.
Yeah, like her character's she's just on a pedestal, right? And
she was
pop
like,
singer. Yeah,
it was kind of like I get the whole like thing they're going for now, but it's like prior to this, it's like okay, but like they show you exactly what happened, which like kind of was something that was completely her fault. Look, she causes like the accident.
like I said with this,
the people like before any of this.
I just don't understand drawing out this narrative for 2 hours. Like the runtime on this, it's actually over 2 hours. It's like 2 hours and 5 minutes or something. I just don't understand why it needed to be like that, because there's so much in this movie that I feel like is just filler.
It is. There's a lot of filler in this movie. That's like
a lot of filler.
I noticed. It's like you kind of know it's going to go all the way until the end. So until like you're at like that like day 7 mark or whatever, like there's not like, like a threat of like the movie of like, all this stuff is just going to be like fake stuff. I don't know. Yeah, but it seems like really similar to the first movie, and
it's really just an extension of the first movie. Yeah. But like, I don't know what they're planning on doing with where they ended the movie off, and what like without giving any spoilers away, the ending doesn't make a lick of sense, does it?
No, like it was kind of weird. It was kind of like just because like I kind of like didn't like hate that, but like by the time they got to the movie, that part, it's like this is still like, just like the first movie.
It's like I will give him credit. I will give him credit for it. It's super dark. It's actually pretty mean spirited. Yeah. As to where it goes, but like how they get there from point A to B from that warehouse to there, like I'm still thinking it's like not even reality, or is it?
It's not. No, it's not. Like
it breaks the rules.
Give it away. There's something that like a particular character says, like earlier in the movie, like probably like day 2 or 3, that kind of like gives away the key to like that whole scenario. I get it, but it's just kind of like, all right, sure. I wish they would have actually like shown the end too.
Right. I just want to see, because I mean, if this is where it goes and they're taking off from that point, how the fuck are they going to do the third one?
I don't know.
Is there going to be a third one?
I mean, the way they leave it. I mean,
this made a lot of money. It made a shitload of money.
Dude, I don't think
it made like, last I checked, it made like 125 million on a budget of like 28 million.
To be honest, what theatrical horror film this year didn't make money?
I know, dude.
Yeah. Even the worst of the worst.
They pushed this movie too. This movie had a big ad campaign, and they did like have a good trailer.
What was that shitty ass fucking was it an A24 film? Imaginary?
Yeah, but
that's Blumhouse.
Blumhouse. That's what I meant to say. Blumhouse, not A24. Blumhouse.
What was A24?
I always do that when I get those two.
A24. I don't think anything else was.
Heretic? Was A24?
That was A24.
Yeah, for sure. Right. I always get those companies mixed up. But yeah, Blumhouse. Yeah, Blumhouse is a very hit and miss company. But Imaginary, for how bad everyone says it is, it still made fucking money, didn't it?
Yeah, because it probably cost like $4 million to make.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's like truly the one and only film I could have saw in the cinema this year that I passed on. Because if I'm getting theatricals, I'm going. That was the one I passed on because JP said it sucked. And I was like, well, if JP says it sucks, I got to be like at a 2 on this one. So what the fucking point of that?
It really is like that bad. But it's like, it almost gets into that territory where it's like it's like so bad that it's like comical. And you kind of like start to enjoy.
Not me, dude. Not me. You say that, but I'm like, I was just miserable the whole time.
I was kind of like laughing. I was like, so the movie's gonna end again? Like it just couldn't. Like it couldn't pick an ending. Like it literally ended like 4 times in like 5 minutes.
I have had like the polar opposite experience this year with theatricals. Like last year, I think there was like maybe 1 or 2 decent ones, but I haven't had really too many stinkers this year, and I've seen a lot of theatricals. And it's been pretty good for theatricals, man. Like, I mean, they're decent enough, right?
What did I like I mean, my bar for like theater movies is like not very high. I'm kind of just like, if I think the movie was okay and just like fine to see in a theater and enjoy like whatever time I was there, that's fine. Mm-hmm. I don't think too deep into it. Like, yeah, that movie was bad. But even like Imagineer, it's like, yeah, the movie was bad, but it's not like I like sat here like waiting to like leave for an hour and a half.
I did.
That's why I felt with the only movie I felt like that about this year was that movie, The Exorcism. I did not like that movie.
I'm like looking at because I logged my 2024 horror / exploitation films watch. It's in order of how I watched, right? Because I just keep adding to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's funny. The first 6 movies of the year that I watched were all theatricals. But remember how bad it started out though with Night Swim? That was another Blumhouse, right?
Yeah, Night Swim. That was Blumhouse.
Yeah, that movie sucked,
dude. It is really bad.
An old like dump like spring.
I forgot about Night Swim, so that was the big fucking stinker.
That was dump month, right? Imaginary.
Yeah. That movie came out
3 dump months.
It came out like January 2nd or something. It was like right at the beginning of the year. And I was like, oh, remember the first thing I said? I go, oh, I see 24 is carrying off where 23 left off. Just a big pile of fucking shit. Yeah. But then it got like so solid though. Like I went and seen Immaculate, Ghostbusters, and the first Omen. Basically, it was in the same week.
Yeah, so it was in March, I think.
Ghostbusters was okay.
Yeah, Ghostbusters wasn't as good as the first one, but it was still fun. And watching
Immaculate, like the first one is in the first one of the new cycle.
Yeah. So the one before this one. But watching Immaculate and First Omen in the same week was kind of interesting because they're very similar. So that was a trippy week. But then I watched Godzilla vs. Kong and then Abigail. What were your guys' thoughts on that one?
I liked Abigail.
That was fine. Kind of like one of those movies.
Yeah, I'm just lukewarm. Like I thought it's like a 6. I don't know. A lot of people really enjoyed it, but I just
one thing like about this, like I felt like it was
A to
B. It felt like it was trying to be like, it felt like it was trying to like pull a fast one on you. Like it was like you was building to this moment, but it's like you knew it was a setup because every criminal in there is a fucking moron.
So I'm watching the movie in the theater going, is this supposed to be a surprise?
Like everyone is a moron, so like you know.
I mean, I felt like it was. I think it was just supposed to be a surprise for the characters. But
yeah,
like I feel like going into that movie, like I don't think they hit it really.
No,
I didn't think it was like bad, but it's like not a movie. I'm like, yeah, I want to watch Abigail again.
I wasn't overly impressed with the Abigail character in itself either, so. It's not a bad movie. I think
like the legend that they built up around like this like assassin character like could have been good if they held its cards to it longer.
Yeah, true that. What was the other? Continue with the theatricals. Oh yeah, I saw Terror, which I thought was way better than I was because I saw the trailer in the cinema, and you know me, I don't really watch trailers, and I was like, oh wow, that looks really bad. And
I thought it was okay.
I thought it was actually better than it was. It was like stupid fun. It's like one of those movies where you just shut your brain off and just kind of enjoy it. It doesn't offer up anything, relatively new, or it's not reinventing anything, which you don't have to in horror films.
I think it's called Tarot, not Tarot.
Whatever. That's the Canadian to me. Tarot.
I like how
you're right though. It is tarot.
Spider-Man's friend, that like kid, like the guy in the chair, forgot his written name, just plays the same character in every movie now.
Yeah. Well, the Asian dude.
Yeah.
Oh man,
like
he is so annoying in Tarot, man. Oh my god, dude. He was the worst
character as Spider-Man, like that does with Spider-Man. That's just like all his parts now. They're just like Spider-Man.
Yeah, he was definitely the kryptonite in that film for me, man. I was like, oh my god, it was fucking killing me. I'm not a fan of him, but I did see The Strangers Chapter 1, which a lot of people were like, they remade Stranger. I'm like, it's actually called Chapter 1 because it's the first one in a new trilogy that's already been.
I thought another one was coming out this year, but I guess
they said it was coming out in December, so I don't know what happened to that release date. So it obviously got pushed back, but they filmed.
It's
all
Rennie
of them.
Harlan, right? It's Rennie Harlan, right?
He shot.
I think he
three.
finessed them. He's like, yeah, I can give me this much money, I can make you 3 movies, and then like after this one and.
They're all done.
Just like
he already shot all of them. They're completely done. They were shooting the movies all together. So like they were doing some scenes in the day and then some at night, and they were shooting 2 different movies at the same time. And with our lead character, I was like, that's fucking crazy to do, man.
Do you think they like shot stuff like thinking, I don't know what movie this is gonna go in, but we'll use it for one of them?
Did you watch Strangers?
I watched Strangers. Yeah.
Did you? What did you guys honestly think of it? Because if you take yourself out of it being a remake, which essentially kind of is. I mean, it's very close to the original premise of the movie.
I didn't think it was good. I didn't think it was good, but like I don't have like this like I also like don't have this like special spot for the original Strangers that some people are like trying to compare them. Like this doesn't matter to me because I don't really even like.
Remember every time we mentioned Strangers on the show, Jeremy would get a boner. Fucking
oh my god!
He always drips over that movie. It's crazy. I think it's fine for what it is. He'd kill
me if he heard me like over here. Like I don't think it's even that good.
I'm honestly not I'm not like it's a fine movie. Like I like it, but it's not.
I think it's great.
But it's not something that like I care if like a movie's like remaking like it's some sacred cow. I
don't give a fuck either.
Yeah,
man, I went a while without seeing a theatrical after this because like what was it, Strangers? Then it was like a bunch of movies I watched on Shudder. Long Legs was the next one that I saw in cinema, which I personally really enjoyed. And I, in fact, like a lot of the things that people don't like about the movie. Like I really like Nick Cage's character in the film. I'm sorry, but I think he's good in it.
I think everybody likes Nick Cage's character.
Parker
I think
doesn't.
That's the one thing
Parker
Really?
says that's the one thing he doesn't like about the movie. He says it's goofy.
It's kind of goofy, but I don't think it's like Nick Cage's fault.
Yeah, I don't.
I
agree
think
with that
it's. I don't even think it's goofy. I think it's scary.
I think it's just well done. He's so. That makeup it hides him so well, and like it's such a bizarre character, and his performance is like.
He's Tiny Tim, dude.
Yeah, dude. It's like I find it super creepy. It's subtly creepy. I don't know. It's way better than Arcadia. I tell you that fucking for sure. Another Nick Cage movie that came out this year, but that wasn't theatrical. After Long Legs was Alien Romulus, which I thought was decent. You know, I didn't like it as much as other people did, but it's fine for what it is. It's not doing a whole lot for me. But Beetlejuice. I think that movie just would be so much better if they just didn't have so much going on in it. There's too many storylines.
I haven't seen that yet still, so don't say much about it.
I'm not gonna. I just think they spent way too much time with one of the storylines and they didn't spend enough time with another one, which I think should have been the main story.
I think we have the exact same complaints about it.
Yeah. It's just it's kind of crazy how much is going on. But what else? Speak No Evil remake. I don't even want to speak on that movie because it sucks.
I didn't even know this is a remake.
I watched the original one on Shudder 2 years ago. Like it's still on Shudder, I think. Fuck.
I don't remember anybody talking about
I intentionally didn't see the remake before.
Dude,
I felt like they were gonna neuter it, so I didn't want to see what they were neutering.
I spoke on Speak No Evil when I watched it on the podcast and stuff, and I said, I thought the ending was super awesome in the original one. That was my biggest thing. I thought the run up to it, the build up to the ending was okay, but then it has this great fucking payoff, this really, really great payoff. And then the remake comes out, and I think the build up in the remake might be a little bit more better executed, but then the ending fails on all fucking aspects of life. It's really bizarre. So that one was pretty much a fucking miss for me. I didn't get to see Maxine in the theater, of course, because my shitty ass cinema didn't get it. So I had to watching my Blu-ray when that came out. Smile 2, we just spoke on. That movie sucks. Terrifier 3 was another one I saw in cinema. I think the consensus on Terrifier 3 is pretty fucking fun. My opinion, it's better than Part 2, just because I think Part 2 is a little long-winded. Part 2 is fine, but I think I do prefer Part 3. I like the mashup of Halloween and Christmas, and I think there's a lot of really good moments in Terrifier 3. It's good. What else for theatricals? I think that's it. I think that's what I saw for horror films this year.
I think I saw exactly.
Oh, and Heretic. I saw Heretic.
I saw it too.
Yeah,
I think I saw
really good.
Exactly everything that you saw, except I saw Imaginary, I saw Maxine, and I saw the TV Glow.
Yeah, I saw the TV Glow.
Did you not see In a Violent Nature?
Oh, I saw In a Violent Nature. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, again, I watched those on my computer. So, yeah, Heretic was really good, though. Surprisingly, really good. I know a lot of people's complaints are the second half of the film, which I can see that, being a minor complaint and stuff. I think the very, very end, what happens, that was the low point for me. Not narrative-wise, it's just something that happens in the film. I think it's a total cop-out and actually unbelievable. It's like truly unbelievable. But
I love the first half of that, though. The first half's awesome.
Oh, the dialogue is fantastic, and like the metaphors and stuff, and how he explains things away, and it is really well done. Actually, it really gets you thinking to the point where you're like, that all makes sense.
Yeah, it's like almost like scary, like how much sense it makes.
Yeah, and I just think it's written so well, because even if you're not a big religious person or even understand, like certain, the backstories of religion stuff, this, you don't even have to really know. It explains it away really well.
Yeah.
Really fucking well. And I loved the Monopoly metaphor. It would work so well. It actually just completely made sense. You're like, oh, okay, that's cool.
That whole part, I was like busting out. I was the only one in the theater, thankfully, but I was like busting out. No, I wasn't the only one in the theater. I was the only one in the theater for Smile. I was busting out laughing like during that stuff. Though, like the whole first half of the movie, like I thought I was just like laughing at this guy completely like mocking these girls and like trolling everything they believed in.
Yeah, I think I actually learned something from that film too, which when he talks about like the guy that originally created the Monopoly game, which was totally stolen and stuff. Like I actually didn't know that. That's actually real. That's actually real history. I was like, oh shit, that's crazy. That kind of fucking sucks that that person got totally screwed out of that. But you know, that's what happens, I guess. But
after he drops like the big diss track on religion, someone in my theater got up and walked out.
Yeah. You know, it's funny too, because it's like people can take it that way, but it's more about eye opening. It's about letting people know, you know, not one way or another. It's not really a straight up diss on religion. It's about telling people and relaying the message of why people believe and how they believe and stuff. And sometimes when you're born into things, you know, like you don't realize, but you're almost brainwashed, right? Because if you're just told something your entire life, that's what you're going to believe, right?
Yeah.
You can't blame the person. It's just what they've been. You're born into a religious family. They tell you this is how God works. This is what it is. This is what it is. It makes complete sense, right? Like, I mean, from a human standpoint, if you're told something over and over again, you're probably just, that's what you believe. That's what you're going to relay into the world and stuff. So, but I think the point of the film is to really educate people on, you know, the beginnings. And I think that's just works so well.
Yeah.
Works so well. Sure. It's definitely one of those films I can see people being so even dismissive of, or, you know, even angered by it a little bit too. It is one of those division films called the division films of the year. You know, I've seen people give it, you know, 3 and 4s, and I've seen people give it 9s. You know, it's very, very, it doesn't seem to have a lot of middle ground for me.
That was one I noticed that like I had a representation like all the way up the scale from people that I follow. So I think of that movie Moodz we talked about.
Yeah, Matt, that's actually a good point, because it's kind of funny because I watched those so close in proximity too. I mean, I made a comment about, I think Mike Merriman, he'd watched it recently. I know he loved it, and I made not a joke, but I basically said my opinion that I couldn't stand the movie. I hate that. It's not even so much the gimmick, which I really don't like that gimmick of the one shot film, because it honestly, it's not done in one shot. It's pretty obvious where they're doing the cuts and stuff, but it's just, I don't like the way characters are in these films, because I call it the track and field movie, where you just pass the baton off after one character dies off or whatever. We start following this because we have to progress the narrative, right? It has to move forward. Literally, that's what the movie is. It's just going from A to B. It's this forward progression. The idea of the movie is fine. I just don't like this type of filmmaking at all. I can't invest in characters. I don't care about them. You know, it's just doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me. I get why people like it and stuff, but it doesn't work. That type of storytelling doesn't work for me at all. I find it tedious. I find it really, really overly tedious, and I'm just not interested in anything that's happening, because it's the filming type, it's the handheld. It almost comes off feeling like it's found footage, which is fine, but it's not found footage. So then I'm not fine with it. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Right? It's just, I don't know. But I mean, I understand the appeal in the movie. It's just not for me. I mean, I would never tell people not to watch it, which I never tell people not to watch movies that I don't like. I think that's just ignorant when people are like, don't watch this movie. It's the stupidest thing in the world. I fucking hate when people do that, man.
No, I said, Moodz, don't watch Imaginary.
Yeah, you did, but I also made my choice up too, because that movie, I'm not like, Blumhouse is very, very hit and miss. And in fact, they're more miss with me. So like, I'd already made up my mind anyways about that. Like, I wasn't really going to invest my time into it, because like I said, Blumhouse has more misses than hits for me.
Yeah. So, the only time I'll tell someone not to watch something, and it's more of a suggestion now too, is like if you're trying to like refine down like your list for prep. Right.
Yeah, like I always like, there's tons of movies where it's just not my flavor. Moodz being one of them, where a lot of people like. That's fine. So just because I don't like something doesn't mean you're not going to. So I think it's pretty ignorant when people are like, don't watch this movie. Don't buy this Blu-ray. It's fucking terrible.
I actually did watch one like that too the other day that I think is great, but I don't think anybody else would like it. It's because it's an anime movie, and it's like super just like vibrant and kind of experimental. It's called Mononoke, the movie Phantom in the Rain. It's basically about like feudal ghosts and like this mysterious like metal like cellar, like going into like these like Japanese like strongholds to like kill off like and to like perform exorcisms. It's pretty interesting.
Is off topic, but is because we have 92 eventually. Is Man Bites Dog, is that 92?
Yep.
Is that like a found footage thing?
Yep.
Yeah, it's like what?
Why
It's
don't
like
we do- why
It's
don't
a
we
serial
do
killer
that?
movie about it's found footage serial killer from
it's
'92.
like
Which
Rise of Leslie Nielsen, or what's his name, Leslie something.
it
Vernon.
definitely feels like they
Leslie
got the
Vernon,
idea.
yeah.
It feels like that's a really good point, Tyler, because I never really put that correlation, but man, just thinking of it now, holy fuck, did that movie ever relay a lot of what happened in Man Bites
Yeah.
Dog? That's crazy. I never even thought of that to you. It's crazy, dude.
I've heard that before, actually. Klive Kraven, who we used to do shows with, he told me that before.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense because
He didn't like Leslie Vernon because he thought it was a ripoff of Man Bites Dog.
But now that I
They're
think
like
about it,
very
it kind of
different
does feel like
movies,
a ripoff of that movie completely. It's the
But
same movie.
we should do Man Bites Dog and Ghost Watch together for like a found footage volume 3 or
Oh,
whatever.
that'd be a good one. Yeah, those are
was
two
just
like
thinking of that.
atypical found footage movies.
Is
too.
there another
Well, they're
movie?
very early. They're
Yeah.
hell no. You think there's another one? I'm just surprised there's 2.
Yeah, 92. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I'm surprised there's 2. I mean, there's literally like 6 found footage movies pre Blair Witch.
Oh, I see
know
what you're
what I
saying.
mean?
1992. Okay.
Yeah, because Ghost
Found-
Watch was 92 as
Right.
well.
Yeah.
I was thinking
They have,
like
like,
another
two
from that
movies that
era. Like there's the
prominent,
McPherson
too.
tapes that came out in what
89.
89. So
Yeah.
that's a really fucking early kind of lost, forgotten found footage film. Well, I mean, it's been brought to the forefront now, but yeah, it's pretty crazy that Man Bites Dog and Ghostwatch came out in 92. That's a good year for like really interesting, like
Those are,
underrated
yeah,
movies.
Pretty significant, like found
man.
found footage movies.
Like very
Yeah.
influential within filmmakers too, right? Because those things kind of set a standard, you know, like it's kind of crazy, dude. That fucking Leslie Vernon thing is blowing my mind right now. That's crazy. I mean, I obviously heard Klive say that before. I just totally didn't even remember it.
Yeah, I think it was on the actual burial grounds podcast.
Yeah, I had to have
I
heard
think
of
we
that.
did modern slashers. I think he said it on there.
Remember the structure of that show is like we're just like naming titles and talk on them for like a couple. That was such a weird structure.
Yeah, and then we started actually reviewing movies towards the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was like kind of a weird show, but yeah.
I wonder how Clive's doing these days. I haven't talked to him in so long.
I still talk to him. He's trying his best to own a comic book store.
Did he actually buy a comic book store?
Yeah, he has like a full. It's awesome too. Like just like the paint job, like all the creativity. Like it's called I don't know what the fuck it's called, but I actually bought a couple things off of him one night because he does live streams where he like auctions off shit.
Like on
I
YouTube?
did.
Really?
On Facebook.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know, man.
I bought a couple Funko Pops off of him.
I haven't-
Leprechaun and Sam.
Oh, that's cool, man. Yeah, I used to talk to Klive like all the time. I don't know what happened. Like we just parted ways.
Well,
It's
he
crazy.
got really fucking busy for
Yeah.
one. He kind of dropped out of the communities.
Is he
but,
still
yeah,
recording albums and stuff?
No, he actually made a post the other day talking about how he misses like making albums and he gave up his dream of music to run that comic book store. And
It's crazy, man. Because he
he's
put out like
running through some struggles right now with it, you know.
because he put out like 20 something albums, dude. Like full length
Full
album. I
albums,
mean,
yeah.
some of them were a little bit shorter EPs and stuff, but he did a lot of full length albums, man.
I know.
Pretty crazy, man. To like just go from like, I mean, he was also the main producer for his own music, but he produced for a lot of other cats though too.
And he did like a bunch of like compilation albums and shit
Yeah.
like that with like. A bunch
Oh,
of different-
his musical like filmography or discography is crazy. It's long, pretty wild. But yeah, that's cool, man. Hopefully, you know.
Yeah,
it
it's
works
like
out
a
for him.
real legit like brick and mortar comic store.
So is it like what does he like? He sells comics and obviously like horror figures and
Comics, you know, figures, cards, movies, video games.
is it all new stuff or does he have like trade-ins? Can you buy used stuff in there?
Oh
too?
yeah, he's most of his shit is like trade-in stuff. Like,
that's cool.
You know, like basically like you know, selling graded comics and shit like that. You know.
Well, remind me after this. They'll put does he have a web store?
Probably.
Like, is there? So there's a link to it. So we'll drop the link in there and like shout out to Klive Kraven. Yeah, just remind me to put the link. I'll put the link in the description of this podcast. So if people are interested, run over there and buy something off of Mr. Klive Kraven.
Yeah, he's out there trying to fucking support his family with an actual business, like a grassroots business. So
Yeah,
you got to give props to that, man.
absolutely, absolutely. As a business owner myself, like I get it. I completely understand. Yeah, can be tough times, man. Can be tough times sometimes, So, but yeah. Anyways, I'll drop the link down there. What's the actual name of the store? Do you remember?
I think it's like Clive Craven's like comics and collectibles or something like that.
It's just a lot of in there. Clive Craven's comics and collectibles. Holy shit, that's a mouthful.
Yeah. But it's all like designed with like black and neon green, so it's like looks cool.
Yeah. That's like my favorite color combo.
Well, he does a little bit of everything, besides the music of like obviously producing and rapping. Like he ventured off into everything. One time he was doing podcasts. He was doing art, I think, at one time. Like he's always
he actually I think
something.
He's developing a video game or something.
He was doing video games. He does developing of a bunch of stuff. So like obviously him designing his own shit would not surprise me that he came up with that whole aesthetic. So that's pretty interesting, pretty cool. I like the idea of like neon green and black and shit. That's pops, man. That's cool. So where's it located? Is he still in Baltimore or like Maryland?
It's somewhere Maryland area, yeah. Yeah, somewhere down there.
Okay, so he's still repping that area. Yeah, I know, because he didn't live in Baltimore. He lived on the outsides of it, right?
Yeah, I actually looked at where the shop was located because when I was going out towards the other side of PA, I was like thinking about swinging down to Maryland, but it's like way out of the way.
Yeah.
So because I would have liked to go see it, but
yeah, no doubt, man, no doubt. I don't know the next time I'll be in Maryland, but it's not really like it's nowhere fucking near me. But then again, either is Wasteland. I mean, that's literally 3,000 miles from you. So
yeah, crazy.
That'll be the closest I'll be to Maryland. Would be next October when we're going to Wasteland. Are you guys going to go to the April show this year?
I'm not sure yet.
Or next year, technically 2025 April.
Yeah,
I didn't look. Have they announced guests at all? For the April?
I didn't look, but the thing for me, it's only like a couple hours for me.
Oh yeah,
so
you're
it's not
close
like
as hell.
that big of an inconvenience to go for me.
I think
that's a flight for me.
I think next year will be because Aaron will be coming with me, so we'll be doing we'll fly to Toronto and then rent a car and drive down. So, if Dave Z wants to come again, we can actually pick him up this time.
My girlfriend will likely come with me next year too.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But I don't think Dave is going to want to stay in the same room because, but yeah, all good. But yeah, I'm assuming, well, from what I heard and talked to people, they were all planning on doing the October show again. Yeah. So it might be that same type of meetup, minus or plus 1 or 2 or whatever, but always look forward to it because October is kind of the one you want to go to because it's usually the bigger show. This October was actually the oddball because from the history of October shows at Wasteland, this was probably the least interesting, like kind of main feature that they've really ever had. I think even Parker said that too. It was pretty the most low key October show, just probably due to availability. Maybe they had something else planned. They got to plan B that shit, right? But yeah, it happens, I guess. But yeah, you guys got anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Nothing in particular.
Moodz might actually make the Bills game this week before it's over.
Well, no, it's starting shortly, so that's probably not going to happen. But I wanted to ask you guys what did you guys pick up for Black Friday? I mean, you can't like speak on Vinegar Syndrome Black Friday. It's usually like kind of the bigger sale. Did you guys participate in the Severin sale at all?
I didn't get anything from Severin. I put in a Kino order, but it wasn't even that big of an order. I got like 8 films from Kino, but they're a lot cheaper. And from the Vinegar Syndrome one, all I did was like obviously I got the keep. And I picked up like 2 titles from partner labels that just sounded cool.
Shoot.
I was gonna say, I didn't really hit up any sales. I thought about getting some of the like back titles from Severin. Like they had my grandpa vampire one for like $8.
Oh, fuck, that's a good deal.
But I just couldn't find enough stuff to get to the $100 free shipping that
Right.
I was like super excited about.
Right.
But I also I thought it would be better to not spend more money since I got that sub coming up
Right.
in January. So
Yeah,
I'd
that
like
makes
to,
sense.
save for that a bit. And then I did just grab a couple things from Vinegar Syndrome, the new titles like the what was it, Silver and the Woman on the Run Cat 3 movie.
Wasn't Silver part of the package deal?
I don't know if I can't remember if that was a
I'm pretty sure that was part of the package.
regular Vinegar Syndrome title or not. Actually, I'll tell you.
Yeah,
so-
because the two hidden titles were Silver and The Keep, I think.
Oh, was it? Okay, then.
Yeah, so the archive.
Yeah, I didn't have to buy that one. Yeah,
Woman on the Run was not included.
Yeah,
The VSA.
I grabbed Who Killed Teddy Bear, Neither the Sea Nor the Sand, which I heard actually sounds pretty good. They say that it's like sort of a precursor to like Bob Clark's Death Dream, like the plot.
All right, cool.
And then Women on the Run. And I did actually grab a title that I missed I don't know if it came out last month or when, but it's Adult Swim Yule Log.
Okay.
Did you ever hear that?
I remember hearing about it. Like,
I think so. Yeah.
So like one of those like Yule log things you just put up on the TV and it's just like a fireplace or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, from what I understand, it was on Adult Swim. I think it was last year, or the year before, and it was like that. But then after like 10 minutes or something, like shit starts happening in it, and it like turns into a movie or something. It's like a Christmas horror thing.
That's pretty cool.
So I kind of forgot about that, and then I saw that they were, and then I was looking through stuff. I was like, oh shit! I
What's
think
it called again?
Adult Swim's Yule Log.
Adult Swim. Who released that?
That is, I forget. It's one of the partner labels.
Oh, it's that Decalogue, whatever.
monologue.
Decalogue.
Fuck, I didn't realize this was like a Christmas horror film. That's really interesting. Shit.
Yeah, that's why I picked it up, because I totally forgot about that.
Well, that fucking... damn it. Okay, well, I kind of fucked up with that. I wish I'd have known that before I started fucking... So I didn't really... You know me, I have way too much Vinegar Syndrome, so I don't really partake in the fucking sales too often. But this year was so weird on the sale. So I spent a total of $24 total. Because I purchased everything with points, so I got everything basically for free.
Yeah, I only spent like $30 because I had points that I saved up for this.
Yeah,
but like that's kind of like I almost got that teddy bear movie too, and I was pretty excited for it because that's actually a movie that people kind of like more of like the indie side of it, or like the Criterion crowd people talk about. And
I saw that title come up, Tyler, and I instantly thought of you.
I got excited because I was like, oh, this is supposed to be like a big movie, but I've never actually seen it.
And I was like, Cinematograph.
I put it in the cart, and I'm looking at the cart, and I was like happy to, and like I saw like the points I was going to spend, but I was like, dude, I can't pay $85 for the keep in this movie. Like,
yeah, it's nuts.
Not. It just doesn't even feel like I'm getting a deal at that point. So I took that out of the cart. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Like paying $30 for these three movies. And then like I felt better about like spending like $95 of Kino. And I figure like thinking too, like beginning of the month, like I already bought like two partner labels at the beginning of the month, and I got Good Bar and Cannibal the Musical. So it's not like they don't already have my money. And they're gonna have the partner releases on Tuesday, and I'm sure I'm gonna pick up. I'll probably pick up the title or two. We'll see. But it's likely. So I kind of just felt like I didn't want to blow my wad.
I'm curious to see what the new not Shutter, but Magnet title is going to be or whatever.
Oh yeah, me too.
Oh yeah, that's a new line. That's
because
right.
like they just have so much pretty cool stuff. Like we talked about this before, but I'm curious to see what they're going to put out because Murder Party was such an exciting title because I really love that movie. And
yeah, that's like one of the like their heavy hitters for sure.
That was a good first film to release. I thought that was really cool. So my Vinegar Syndrome Black Friday ended up like this. So this order I paid $17.72 Canadian. And I picked up The Woman on the Run, the VSA, which, you know, it's like in Canadian prices, that's $42. And then I got Sidekicks, which I was never going to purchase, but I ended up pretty much getting it for free. And then I got used points and got the Christmas Evil slipcover, which I would never pay for slipcovers, but I had extra points. I'm like, well, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to grab it for free. So that order rate there cost me $17 for that VSU and the new VSA. That's a pretty good fucking deal, $17. And then I put in another order. This one cost me $5.27 Canadian, and I got a Vinegar Syndrome shirt, which I've been wanting to get one of those, just black with the logo in the middle. And then I got a VS beanie, which Vinegar Syndrome toque basically, and De Geyser Video beanie also, and I paid $5 for those three things. That's pretty fucking sweet.
That's awesome.
Pretty fucking sweet. So I never really go out of my way to get Vinegar Syndrome clothing because it's pretty expensive. I'm usually there for the movies and stuff, but I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I got points. I don't really need any of the other movies. I'm not looking for anything. And that's perfect attire for the Sin Bin show. So I'm like, fucking rights. Plus I love me some toques and I love me some shirts. So but yeah, $5 for that. Come on, man. So that was my whole Black Friday. That's the only thing I bought from anywhere Black Friday this year. I didn't participate in any sales. Severin, I completely passed on. I said my reasons because everything for me, with the exception of 2 titles, were just upgrades, if you want to call them. But I'm fine with a lot of my Blu-rays on those titles. The Franco film is one I'll just pick up way down the road. It is what it is. The Mask of Satan, the Lamberto Bava film, is one I am interested, but I'm not going to go there for one title. I'm just not doing it. So I'll wait and get that one later on. It's not a big deal. It's not a special edition. It's just a standard edition anyways. It's fine. I don't even care. I don't need the slip. I don't need all that shit. I just want the movie. It's pretty cool that they finally got a release though, because that's been kind of stuck in obscurity forever. Like it's had no releases. So that's kind of cool. Kino, I didn't even go to, I didn't even take a run at the website. Didn't even look. Did they have decent? I mean, Kino always has really good sales. When I do my Kino sales, since there's just like so much stuff that I haven't heard of, and I'm like happy to blind buy stuff as cheap as they are. I started out with a cart being over $300, and I shaved it down to like 90 something, and I had to make trays to fit everything I wanted. But there was some good stuff that isn't always for sale. There was I actually picked up I picked up 8 titles total, and 4 of them were silent films. But there was 2 that are like never on sale. One of them was a Caligari upgrade, so like I got to check that out. From the Kino Classics line, not the Kino Classics, but like the old Kino. I actually have that Caligari. That shit looks good, man. Yeah, the 4K came out. So the 4K. I just have the Blu-ray. Yeah. Yeah, so I upgraded the 4K, but there was this FW Murnau movie that like is pretty popular now. It was on like the top, like a lot of people like just kind of got turned down to them the last couple of years because it showed up on like the Sight and Sound list, so people looked at. But they had that movie on, so it's called The Last Laugh. And there's like a really like early documentary that's experimental that they had on sale that usually isn't, called Man with a Movie Camera. And I finally decided to pull the trigger on the Golem, which is like an early silent horror film I haven't seen yet. I have, you know what's crazy? I have like one of my only like Kino DVDs that I actually own is the Golem on DVD. It's the Kino release way back in the day. Like that's an old DVD release. It's crazy. I never upgraded. So I had a crossroads. This was my big crossroads because the 4Ks were $18.99. So basically, like for the price of a 4K, you could have gotten 2 movies. That's a good deal though. $18.99 for these type of movies on 4K is a fucking good deal, man. That's a good deal. And so I was gonna get John Frankenheimer's The Challenge. That movie's
sounded awesome, and I was gonna get this one Kamikaze.
I have.
That I never heard of, but it sounded really cool.
So so the challenge is fucking pretty fun, but Kamikaze, dude, is fucking amazing.
I will definitely get
just
next
fucking.
sale.
The premise of that movie is utterly ridiculous.
I will definitely get these next sale, but I basically Tony Hartman talked me into it. I traded those two off my list to get Sudden Death on 4K with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh, you got the Sudden Death is cool, man. But I
talked me into it.
I have passed on every Van Damme, like, you know, when 88 was doing all their Van Damme movies and stuff, and Van Damme, he's been getting lots of love over the years, but, you know, honestly, dude, I love Van Damme back in the day, but I'm not, they're not go-to. Like, I'm a huge, like Chuck Norris fan. Like, I have like every Chuck Norris movie. So he's kind of my dude, but like for me, I would have went with Kamikaze for sure in the challenge.
Yeah.
But that's just me. Honestly, dude, I've recommended, people have actually got back to me about Kamikaze because I read about this movie years ago, completely forgot about it. And then when Kino announced it, I was like, that's the movie that I wanted to see. And I couldn't believe it. So I picked it up and I was just, my shitter was blown out, dude. This movie is so much fun. You'll love it. You'll fucking love that movie.
Yeah, it was like, it's one of those, like, that's why I love just throwing stuff in the cart and then I just figure it out later. And that was one of those titles that like caught my eye because it was like $7.99 too. And I read the plot. I was like, this sounds fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm. It's executed beautifully too, man. It's so much fun. It's a French film with a ridiculous premise, and it just, you think it would be like super comedic, right? Yeah. But it's like it kind of
sounds like it.
But like it is, but it isn't. Like, it's dark and it's ridiculous, man. It's so much fun. That is one of the. I even said that too. I think last year was one of my favorite like first time watches that I've had in a long time.
Yeah, maybe I will go back. We'll see what VS does for partner labels if I want to go back and put in another order.
Yeah,
the really didn't spend that much like for Black Friday.
Yeah, it'll probably just be the Agfa titles and like Saturn's Core for me, depending on what they release for the Magnet title, if I want it or not, which I'm pretty sure they're probably going to release something pretty good. So if I want to upgrade, I'm assuming I probably have the DVD because like all of us do. Yeah. But yeah, like the partner label stuff has gone so south for me. Like all my favorite labels are gone. So I don't like I'm not really overly worried about it. You know what I mean? So Umbrella, like I think I have everything they've released on that Umbrella line, except for maybe one title that I didn't, because I already had like the actual Umbrella release.
I think I have like two or three Umbrellas.
That line's been pretty good. Like, they've released some pretty cool films on that line so far. So it's been consistently good for me.
They need to. Whatever comes out this partner label month is the last releases of the year. So at that point, we'll know everything that has.
So what are we doing on the sin bin for that? Like, I know January's show, because we just
doing it at January.
Yeah, January.
So in December, we're recording the stuff that came out for this Black Friday sale.
Yeah, but then January is like the top 10 releases of the year show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are we doing any like feature? Is that the show, or
that's
are we
the show?
Yeah. So the partner label stuff is just non-existent then. So come February, it'll just be back to regular programming.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm whatever. I probably end up picking up 4 or 5 things.
Yeah, the thing about these partner labels too is like these are going to be on sale on halfway to Black Friday, so they're not like that far away to get them for half off.
Oh yeah, that was one thing I wanted to mention about the. For the people listening, I bought the Black Friday full package. So before people comment, did you even get that? Because I didn't mention it, but yeah, no, I'd pre-ordered that. Speaking on that, so one of the secret titles was The Keep, and that motherfucker sold out quick, and it's already being listed for like a couple $100 because people just cannot resist. Not only is it already
being listed for a couple $100, but
it just makes me so
actually
sad.
Sold them for a couple $100.
Yeah, like people like. I don't understand, like, if you wanted a title and you're willing to pay $200 for it, why weren't you at the sale buying it for the regular price?
I mean, I guess because it just sold out in
people
24 hours.
But it was still a bit like, I went to the site. Yeah, they'd sold a lot, but like, this is why you pre-order the package, man. You get that shit. You know, it's like, I didn't really worry too much about it, but
I don't get it. It's fucking weird, dude.
This year's big movie. Okay, just let me finish this thought. This year's big movie. There's always a couple movies every year that have no releases, and then they get released, and people watch them, and they're like, "Oh, I don't like that movie," and then no one speaks on it. That's going to be this year's movie. Is The Keep. Everybody wanted The Keep. Most people probably have never seen it before. They're going to be utterly disappointed in it because I honestly can't remember it that well, but I don't think it's really that good. And it's going to be that title. Everyone, like, this guy paid $200, so hopefully he likes it. But
yeah, it's not an incrediable movie, but it's like one of those movies where it's like, I know what I'm buying. Like I like The Keep. I know what I'm buying. I had no illusions about it. It's not an incredible movie. I do think it's a good movie though. There
was a title recently that got released that had no release, and it finally came out, and no one talked about it after. Because everyone was like, you could tell people were disappointed. Because obviously, if people liked the film, they would be buzzing about it, talking about it, and shit like that. But I can't fucking think on what it was though. Something just recently came out that everyone was waiting for. It's one of those titles that we always made videos about. I want this on Blu-ray. I want this on Blu-ray, and then it came out, and then everyone's like, "Yeah, fuck that movie." I don't remember what it was, but I feel like that's The Keep this year's. That's the title. I'm sticking to my story on that one.
Maybe. I didn't realize how underseen the movie was.
I remember watching. Actually, when I worked at the airport, I used to have all that downtime. I remember watching it on YouTube.
I watched it on the Criterion channel.
I used to have the VHS of The Keep, actually. I used to have the tape of it. But the last time I watched it was probably about, I want to say at least 14 years, 2010, 11. YouTube channel probably doesn't exist anymore because it was that rotating channel that always used to upload all their movies, and then they would get shut down and then just put them all back up onto a different one. But yeah. I don't even really remember it. That's probably not a good thing. I remember certain scenes, but that's pretty much it. So, but yeah, so that's it for Black Friday shopping. Yeah, I was fucking didn't do shit this year, man. I usually don't really buy a lot on Black Friday because I buy too much at other times. I just don't. I'm stupid. Should probably wait for the sales more. But anyways, nothing else? You guys got nothing else?
Mm-mm.
Nothing else to talk about? Okay, well, then we'll end this intro because then I'm sure someone will say that we talked about sports for an hour, which was literally 4.5 minutes. Come on, guys. Stop it. Anyways, that's going to do it for the intro. And we'll be back here with some winter horror films. Yeah.
Yo, who this?
Yo, Moodz, it's your boy, the ill-mannered funky child, calling you to remind you that the featured reviews on this episode contain spoilers.
Aw, yeah, man, that's right, brother. Thanks for the heads up, playa. Now go back to being an unproductive asshole.
Fuck you. I tell your listeners to stop being so dumb, silly, sensitive.
Yeah.
And now, our feature presentation.
All right, so getting into the featured reviews here on episode 275 of the Triple Shots of Moodz and Horror podcast. We are going to get into some winter horror. Might as well call it Volume 1, right? Is that what we're going to do?
Yeah.
Sure, why not? All right, so we're going to take it all the way back to 2006 with a Swedish film called Frostbitten. You guys have never seen this one before, right?
Nope.
Correct.
Okay. Cool. All right, quick little synopsis. Oh, fuck. Are you serious? Vampires terrorize a city in Norrbotten? That's all it's written.
It's a little broad.
It's so vague. Really? Okay. This one's a little bit better. Gives you a little bit more of a outline. After Annika, a medical doctor, gets work at the local hospital, she and her 17-year-old daughter, Saga, move to a small town in northern Sweden. Annika is keen to work with her idol, Genesis. I know what he does. I can't pronounce it properly. Professor Gerhard Beckert. However, Beckert's sinister past in the Waffen SS soon catches up with him when a couple of pill-popping interns mistake an experimental vaccine for party drugs. Mayhem ensues as the town's teenagers succumb one by one to the mysterious virus. Now that's a little bit better.
Yeah,
I just had to read out that was too much. All right, so fucking Frostbitten. Well, why don't one of you guys start since you'd never seen the film before? Tyler, what are your thoughts on Frostbitten?
So Frostbitten kind of has probably one of the more interesting ideas for a modern vampire film. Basically, it starts out where you're watching this like Nazi battle where they're attacked by vampires, and then it jumps. It gives you, and it looks like they're all killed off. It doesn't really give you like one of those conclusive things like how most movies will start, and give you just like a little bit of foresight.
It's a cold open.
Yeah. And then it just after its opening, which it really is probably it is about a good like 10 minutes, I would say, right?
It's like 12, 13 minute intro, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I thought it's funny. I actually thought that was going to be the movie.
Yeah,
it's crazy how long it goes. Yeah.
I was like, oh,
this is cool.
I'm kind of glad that it actually like kind of like jumped to like the modern time, became something else. I was kind of like, I was suspecting that it was going to kind of be like a Dead Snow type movie with with that opening, but with vampires somehow. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it jumps to present day, and it kind of has this like interesting idea where basically someone gets infected by taking what you learn to be later on, like vampire blood pellets that are like mistaken for some sort of party drug, and it makes like like the transformation process pretty interesting. It's not like as outright. It's also like usually in these movies, someone like knows like, oh, they have this weird experience, or they like actually get bitten by something. They're actually exposed to something, and they learn, and then they kind of just like learn what's happened to them. But this one, they kind of didn't have any of that information, which kind of made like the whole transformation a little bit interesting.
It's just teenagers being stupid ass teenagers.
Yeah.
Who the fuck takes a pill
dude,
that they don't know anything about?
Just gonna say that. I was like, even at like my most like delinquent trash bag human self that I ever was, like, I'm not just gonna take some random ass fucking pills.
It's like bright red too, so it's like what
it was glowing at one part.
Yeah. Like, what other pill have you ever seen in your life that looks like this? Like, why would you have any idea what this even is that you're taking?
Right.
But yeah, it gets a little expansive and like then ties back in with the beginning, and it is kind of interested in the ways that this movie goes. It's definitely has. It's not a movie I would say I connected with like super well with. But there's nothing like wrong with it, if that like makes sense. You know what I mean?
Well, I think, for me, like I was remembering this movie a lot different. I used to think I really liked this movie. Watching it right now, I have a lot of problems with it, of course, because we're watching with a critical mind. First and foremost, I think that this movie has a lot going on with certain characters. Like we've got the guy that takes the drug. We've got the mom story. We've got the daughter story with the goth chick. We've got the backstory. We've got the doctor story too. Like there's a lot of moving parts in this film, but it's kind of weird because through the first hour of the film, we have so many characters that it's not like hard to keep track of everything. There's just a lot of moving parts, like I said.
Yeah, it's not hard to keep track of, but like you're also like not building any sort of like development towards.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like there's so much happening in the first hour. At the same time, nothing is happening in that first hour of the movie. Yeah. It's weird, right? Like we're just going back and forth for all these characters. It's kind of building up to what you would think would be pretty explosive kind of third act kind of deal. I do like the reveal with the doctor and stuff. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
And in fact, like what he was trying to do, like with the comatose patient and stuff, which that's why this guy steals the drugs, because he comes across these drugs that he's essentially doing tests on with this person and stuff. But like the whole idea of like the human vampire kind of hybrid type scenario, I think is actually pretty cool. This movie is it's like one of those films where I really like the whole idea of the movie. The execution is not the greatest. Obviously, there's some really outdated and piss poor fucking CG with the transformations and stuff. Yeah. The final death scene with one of the vampires, I think it's done like really bad. Shit. It's really bad. It doesn't look very good. It probably didn't even look good in 2006, which I didn't see this movie in 2006. I saw it around. I remember I think I picked this up when I first got onto YouTube, so 11, 12 kind of thing. I remember liking it. Like I thought it was actually really cool, but times of, your eyes see things differently all these years later and shit. I was a little bit more forgiving when it came to like low budget films and, effects and things like that. But now I just call it how it is. I don't think the effects in the film are very good. And I think the way they execute the third act in this film with everything that's going on, there's a lot of misses. There's a lot of misses with this film because I feel like there's so much potential to have this crazy massacre. We got a bunch of high school kids that have all taken this essentially this vampire drug. But a lot of the massacre that happens is off screen. We don't get to see a lot of that shit. I think there's a lot of misses. And I think it really affects the movie because like I said, the first hour of the movie, there's a lot going on with all these characters and we're getting introduced to all this shit and we're expecting this payoff and we don't really get it. I think the final battle with, the mom, of course, she works at the hospital and like a certain vampire character is very quick. It feels rushed. I don't think it really works. I think there should have been more there considering who this person was in the past and stuff. I think it should have been a better battle. You know what I mean? Like battle. So I think that's a little bit missed. There's some comedic elements to the film. Like there's this really funny part where one of our high school kids that, the kid that gets all vamped out and stuff, but taking the drug, there's a scene where this old lady's walking her poodle and he just and it's literally on a leash and he like destroys this dog and like throws this corpse of this dog like back at
It's also like when you first hear the dogs talk,
it's kind of funny.
Fuck.
Yeah. So like
there's you can hear animals speak, which is just a weird.
So I think that's one of the. So when you take these pills, it heightens your senses to the point where you can actually like talk to dogs and like you can smell and hear and see things a lot differently and stuff. But yeah, like the talking dog elements is definitely.
Yeah, I didn't know if my brain just wasn't functioning, but I was thinking, are they suggesting like if you're a vampire, you can talk to dogs?
I guess it's also used. It's also used as a comedic element. It's used as a comedic part too.
In order for a dog, like that's. That like it's so kind of silly because it's like that would be assuming that a dog has like
the ability to actually say those things.
To say those things,
Yeah.
It doesn't really make the most sense.
No, it doesn't. But I think it's just used as a comedic.
Oh, it's definitely a comedic thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, the movie is actually, if you look at it on IMDb, it's actually like dark comedy horror kind of thing. So it's supposed to be like dark and humor, but I wouldn't say this movie is like goofy at all. It doesn't have that goofy elements to it.
I feel like it gets there's like, I feel like the dog stuff was a bit goofy.
Yeah, it's got humor like in like how kind of like most like teen like kind of like horror movies do in a way, but it's not a comedy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I didn't really like this one too much. I thought that honestly, a lot of the stuff you said, like it just feels like a lot's going on. It's kind of messy. It feels like it's unfocused, which I hate when a simple type of movie. It's a fucking vampire movie, dude.
Well, that's the thing with these movies. Like, as a writer, I think you're trying to do too much with these ideas and like take it back to like making more of a simplistic film where I feel like less is more. You don't have to have this movie. Like, this is the same critique I have with the new Beetlejuice movie. This is kind of the same thing, right, Tyler? There's so many things that are happening in this. Like, there's so many different storylines happening.
But it takes away from
the main focus, which should just be what the doctor's doing, and like kind of focus on that.
To me, that was like the best part. Like,
I think that's the most interesting part of what he's doing, right? And like. And maybe execute the party scene a little bit better, because if you're going to have a fucking, high school massacre, at least show the shit, right? Like we only get to see very, very small parts of this. And I think it's a total miss, and it kind of ruins it because it's leading up to this, and it's leading up to this because that's what the buildup is with all these characters and shit.
Yeah, you expect some damn carnage.
Right. And and honestly, the way the movie ends too is such a like, really, that's it?
Yeah.
Well, right? even the final shot of the movie is like eye rolly as hell.
That's what I mean. It leaves you going, really? Like, I remember this movie so differently, and this is why you rewatch movies. Like, I recommended that we do this because obviously this fits the criteria of what we're doing. This is winter hard. This movie definitely fills that criteria.
Yeah, it actually has a really good winter aspect to it that I like, a
lot of outside shots in the dark and stuff. But the interesting thing about this movie, they give it to you, but they don't deliver this idea.
it has the 30 Days of Night setup. This movie came out a year before 30 Days of Night. So if you know anything about 30 Days of Night, it's basically vampires in the solstice or whatever, where they get like 30 days of night. So if you know anything about vampires, that's not good for humans.
This clan of ancient vampires just fucking massacres the whole town, which that one has much more massacre going on.
Dude, that movie's just carnage. So, and this one kind of sets up that idea because they talk about the souls where they're going to have 30 days and nights. And then we get this whole thing with the drugs and people are turning into vampires. So you're expecting this to be just pure carnage because they can't escape, right? Because it's nighttime for 30 days. We don't fucking get that, dude. And like,
they completely just like don't make it a plot point. They
abandon the whole idea of the 30-day thing, and it just kind of does its own thing. And then you're just like, oh, yeah, I was really bummed out watching this movie again. Like I actually came in this really low. I was super disappointed with this movie. Like I remembered really liking this, and maybe there was a time I probably had too many Michelobes. No, actually, back then would have been shock tops. It would have been too many shock tops.
Yeah, I miss shock tops.
But fuck me if I was watching this movie going, I know for a fact that no one likes it. If I'm not liking this movie right now, JP and Tyler do not like this movie.
I mean, I didn't dislike the movie.
Only one that was going to come into your review like this movie's not good.
I don't think it sucks. I think this movie is very problematic.
I don't think it sucks.
Yeah, no. I don't think it's like Hall of Pain. I don't think.
No, it's not Hall of Pain.
It's not Hall of Pain for sure.
Yeah,
no. The effects are Hall of Pain though. Worthy.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like I think that like movies like this, like I like certain aspects. Like even the fucking whole like setup to the film, like feels like, you know, the cold open scene and stuff like that. It feels like it was just like sort of like stuffed into this movie to, you know, obviously that character is back and stuff, but like it just feels like that didn't even necessarily need to be a thing. Like it just feels like they're focusing on like so many things at once.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It focuses on too many storylines that,
and the problem too is like you're not really interested in any of them. So it's like you're focusing on so much stuff that you don't really care about.
I know, like even the nurse guy that takes the drug initially, like it's just not even that interesting. Because he takes it, but then it doesn't really focus on him becoming the head of the carnage or nothing, because they dispense the drug throughout the place.
Yeah.
And certain, you know, so it loses its value. It loses its value within that character, right?
It takes like just so long to get there too, with like just all the people they bring into it. Or each have like so many random scenes of him like staring to the mirror, like what is happening to me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I will say like the scene where the chick gets impaled by the gnome, that actually made me laugh.
Yeah,
that's actually kind of funny. But yeah, like for a movie that has potentially a lot of, you know, it could have a lot of on-screen kills, it doesn't really have a lot of carnage. Like that's, like I said, obviously the party doesn't have the carnage, but like you think you would have individual kills here and there and stuff. There's not really a lot of death scenes in this movie. It's fucking weird. Considering how many characters are in the fucking movie. It's nuts. It's absolutely batshit. Like they just, you know, if you're going to do a movie like this, you have to execute on the kills. It has to. That's what it's all coming down to. So
yeah, I feel like you're spot on.
Yeah, it's so crazy because usually when I recommend things for us to watch and stuff, like I'm usually coming in the highest or whatever. I'm like, fuck me if this one really disappointed the hell out of me. This hasn't happened to me in a long time. I literally wrote in my notes, I remembered this movie completely wrong. Like
I'm actually, I mean, I am glad that I watched it just because like, it did have like good winter atmosphere, and we actually got like a pretty decent little snow the day I was watching this stuff.
You know what's fucked up, dude? It's been snowing since I got off the picket line on 6 o'clock on Friday. It started snowing and it hasn't stopped since. It snowed almost 3 feet.
Oh shit.
We've had a fucking massive storm. And you know what the crazy thing is? So right as we're recording, the temperature has been rising. And so Monday, Tuesday, it's supposed to rain. We're getting into the pluses, and it's supposed to start raining for the next 3 days after it's like 3 feet of snow. What a fucking mess. Yeah, I think this one is just it's disappointing, man. It's really, really disappointing because I feel like there's so much potential here. It has so much potential to be a decent film. You know what I mean? Like there's good ideas. It's just not executed properly. I'm assuming it probably was a budget thing though too, because like, you know, in the first hour of the film, we don't really get to see any like real effects or anything, you know, like, I mean, there's no kills, there's nothing going on and stuff. So it's got to be a budgetary thing. I don't know, but it does fit the criteria as to why we're here today. Winter horror. It nails the, you know, the aesthetic for winter horror. It feels cold. There's a lot of snow. It's dark. You know, it does some things right. Just put it that way. But yeah, I do feel like at times, you know, obviously with everything that's kind of going on and stuff, I feel like the tone of the film doesn't really know what it wants to be. Is it supposed to be funny, like dark comedy? But like, I don't feel like there's enough individual scenes of that element that would even put it into the criteria of like dark comedy / comedy horror. Right?
I wouldn't say so, no.
No, it's not. It's like not even overly that goofy, but you know, besides maybe the dog thing. But like, there's not enough of that even to put it into that category. It's just, it's a very uncontrolled film. It's weird. The tone is off, which, you know, kind of sucks. But
did this guy make anything else?
I don't know. I do know that this movie was a failure. So like, it was supposed to be like, I think it had a lot of hype to it and it like failed miserably.
It's got this like maybe this is just a me thing, but this is something I noticed a lot when we were prepping for 2011. It has that like ugly, like kind of mid 2000s, like late 2000s, early 2010s era, like digital camera looking type of deal with like the lights like seem too harsh and they just like it kind of makes it look like kind of muddy.
Mm-hmm. This
it's
is
like
actually
always an immediate turn off for me.
Yeah. Oh, weird. Oh man, there's some weird trivia on this, man. This was the first horror film to be shown in North Korea.
Interesting.
That is an interesting fact, actually. That's really interesting because North Korea, you know, is basically cut themselves off from the rest of the world. Why the fuck would they show this movie there? That is really random. Yeah. So this is the very first Swedish vampire movie. So they had never made a vampire movie until 2006.
Isn't Let the Right One In Swedish?
That one came after 2006.
Yeah, that's Swedish. Yeah, that's like 2010 or no, it's 2008, I think.
8 or 9 or something like that. Yeah, it's after this one.
It's way better than this one.
Oh yeah, well that's a legit good movie. Yeah, so like I mean, they were filming in like minus 30, which, you know, Celsius, so that's fucking insanely cold. Definitely captures that.
Director, did he do anything else?
No, nothing notable. A couple things after this, like TV films and nothing I've heard of. So nothing then. No, I'm not saying I've heard of everything, but yeah, it doesn't look like too much though. I mean, I said my piece on this one. I don't really know what else to say.
I agree.
You know, I mean, there's not really much else to say, to be honest.
I think we all feel exactly the same about this one.
I think our rating's probably going to be very similar. Tyler, what do you give this one?
I'm going to go 5 out of 10 on this one.
Yeah, me too. 5 out of 10.
You know what? That's exactly where that's actually kind of crazy because I feel like it is very average. And, you know, it pains for me to say like the potential is just so full here. But 5 is, I think, the appropriate rating from every kind of standpoint. So, yeah. So that is Frostbitten from 2006.
22 shots.
All right. So staying in the year 2006, we have Larry Fesseden's The Last Winter. Have you guys seen this one before?
No, I've not.
Actually, I have not.
Oh, okay. I thought one of you guys had seen this before. Okay. Yeah, this is a pretty different. I mean, if you know anything about Larry Fessenden, like he does when he directs movies, they're all pretty different. Like he doesn't really have a particular place where he stays in. It's pretty interesting.
I've seen a couple things he's done, And I agree with you. Like I feel like he does do a lot of different shit. And this one feels like very different from the stuff I've seen.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
He did do another film that's very cold, wintry, called Wendigo. That came out in 2001.
I think he did it right before this, right?
Yeah, it was before 2001. But like, his early 90s films with like No Telling and Habit, like those are so different.
Yeah. Well, that's like one thing about Larry. I'm more of a fan of like Larry Fesson, the contributor, and like what he's done, and like been like kind of like this like almost this like old man of indie horror than I like.
Yeah, and he does it all too. Like he's a producer, an actor, an editor. He edited this film. I think he might have even done some music or something. But yeah, he's kind of just wears all kind of different hats in the world of horror, and he's even like worked with Scorsese and stuff. So
yeah, he's got a ton of credits, but yeah, like I think I'm more of a fan of like him as that than I am of his actual work sometimes. But I actually was pretty surprised with this one. I was really pleasantly surprised. I thought this was pretty interesting. This was probably this might be the best cast.
Have you seen Habit before, Tyler?
I've seen Habit. That's probably his best movie. I've seen Habit, and I think
it's very Tyler-ish.
Yeah, Habit's good. And I
like No Telling.
Yeah, I like No Telling too.
I think those.
I remember the first time I saw No Telling. I like the reveal.
What's the plot of this one?
All right, so quick little synopsis. Sent to evaluate the environmental impact of oil drilling in the Arctic, James Hoffman clashes with the drilling crew's chief, who wants to get the job done. All right, so the crew chief in this film is played by Ron Perlman. James Hoffman is played by James LaGrosse. You got familiar faces.
Phantasm 2 fame.
Yeah,
right.
I totally didn't realize that was him. And
Me either.
Until
afterwards,
I was crazy.
like, oh shit, that was James LaGrosse.
Yeah, the guy that always referred to as like the Brad Pitt lookalike.
Yeah, I think I like thought he was taller or something, and that's why, because he looks like wicked short the whole movie, like walking around next to Ron Perlman.
So this movie was obviously banking on the success of like Friday Night Lights at the time, because Connie Britton, who plays the mom in Friday Night Lights, and Zach Gilford, who plays in Friday Night Lights, also are both cast in this film. So it was kind of a trip to see them both in this film, because I was a big fan of the TV show. Really liked that.
Ron Perlman's one of those dudes that I never like think is like one of my favorite actors, but I always end up enjoying everything
because he gives it all, and no matter what he's in. Like,
it's like weird. I never was like a fan, but like watching him in this, I was like, dude, I fucking kind of like Ron Perlman a lot.
Also, Kevin Corrigan's in the film, familiar face. Larry Fesson has, of course, a cameo, which, I feel like Larry Fesson is one of those director writers, actors that's like super self-loathing of himself, because like, have you ever noticed something? He fucking kills himself in every film that he does. Everything that he's in, he dies a horrific death. It's crazy. It's like he hates
I just
himself.
think
I need to die.
He just had like the way his hair is with the widow's peak and stuff. Like he just has like a look to him that like fits his like cameo type characters too.
Like he looks like he should be super eccentric, but I don't think Fessenden is overly that eccentric. I think he's just interesting. He just has ideas all over the place, but you're right though. Looking at his hairdo and stuff, you think like that's pretty eccentric, but I think it's just the way he is.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I hadn't seen The Last Winter. I think since this box set, I watched all the movies when they came out, so I'm not sure when this Fessenden box set came out from Scream Factory. It must have been.
Oh, it was in the early days of Scream Factory. It was probably like one of their first like year or two releases, I think.
Yeah, because I did have the DVD of this too, because I remember picking it up, I think second spin for a couple bucks. And
rest in peace.
Yeah, and I remember liking the movie, and then when the box set came out, I don't remember. Like I just don't what I thought of it after when watching the Blu-ray kind of thing, but.
So like Fessenden is he's an interesting dude. I've heard him on podcasts before, and he's pretty fun to listen to. I think he's an interesting just like person in the cinema world that like is often underlooked. People don't really talk about him too much.
This works in all angles. Like you said, like one minute he's doing a film with Scorsese, next minute he's husband and wife with like Barbara Crampton in an indie film. Like he just does.
Yeah.
He's all over the place, man. Like he doesn't really have any specific lane that he stays in, which I like about Fessenden, right?
Actually, a new film that he directed came out this year called Blackout. I had seen it a couple years ago.
Yeah, I
as
remember
a
you talking about
screener,
that.
and I didn't like it, but it was an unfinished version, and I'm seeing people rate Blackout like good, so I'm probably gonna give it another shot since you should never really watch an unfinished movie. Really.
Yeah,
That
I've only
whole
seen
concept to
one
me-
time for like a test screening.
That whole concept to me doesn't even feel right. It feels like it shouldn't be a thing. Why would you ever try to watch a movie that wasn't finished? Like, you can't rate it properly. You can't give your honest opinions on it, or you can give your honest opinions on that product, but like, at the end of the day, it's not finished.
Yeah, I saw Return to Nukem High Volume 2 unfinished, like for feedback. We had to fill like a questionnaire at the end, and there was like parts where there wasn't even like a dialogue. There wasn't even sound. It was just like you're just watching stuff on screen. It just like was like goofy without any sound at all.
Yeah, that's wild.
So this movie is it's an interesting idea because it's obviously filled with an overload of commentary. I mean, the commentary is essentially on their sleeves, on their dicky sleeves.
Yeah, it's a sort of like nature fights back type of narrative, but like a little more spooky.
It's I mean, it's a day old commentary about like how we have ruined the earth. Essentially, we're causing global warming and shit like that, and that's the main focus of this film essentially, because what we have here, we have a surveyor who is hired on, and this movie takes place like in upper Alaska, like on the Arctic Circle kind of thing, and he's there to survey the grounds, if it's all right to basically bring their equipment in to build this like ice road, to do some fucking drilling because there's oil up there and stuff. But the problem is with this area, and the commentary is that it's so warm up there that it's literally, it's like the layer of like frost has thawed and the ground is soft. So he's basically saying that this shit is like, it's not safe for them to bring their equipment because you could be going through the ground at any time and shit. You just can't do what you need to do. It's too warm. There's even a scene where they really exploit that theme of like, us ruining the fucking, the earth is like, it actually starts raining at one point in there, which is really crazy. That's a crazy commentary because if it's raining in the Arctic Circle, we got some serious fucking problems, man, because that's not good. And they really do put that out there. But it's kind of like, the depth of this film is obviously grounded in, the whole environmentalist aspect of the film, but like, it is kind of like a nature fighting back type thing. And I really like where this one goes. It's super foreboding. This movie has one of the most foreboding atmospheres, and it just feels like straight doomsday, right? I think the ending's so perfect for what this film is trying to accomplish. It's so dark and it's devastating, but it's also set in this reality of like, if you believe in global warming, which I don't know how you couldn't. I mean, things are obviously not right. Even in my lifetime, I've seen like where I live, it's crazy. Like we just don't get winters. So it's crazy. But like, where this one goes, I find it so dark and disturbing. But I like the execution in the film. For a lot of people, I think this might be a little bit of a slower burn for them. But you want to talk about capturing a winter setting perfectly. This movie does it beautifully.
Also definitely has, influences of The Thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I
mean,
was gonna wait for that to come.
This
to
movie
play.
screams The Thing. It doesn't have the whole kind of shape-shifting type aspect, like alien shape-shifting thing, but it has something there. It definitely has something. Yeah, the performances of this movie are really good too. Ron Perlman definitely steals the show in the film as, the leader of the crew and stuff. And, there's some really nasty moments, like when we have one of our main characters who actually dies in the film pretty early. That's such a haunting scene because it just looks so visceral. You know what I mean? It looks so vivid. Like you're just like, damn, dude, like what the fuck happened? But it fucks with your mind though, too, because it's like a psychological angle of the film too, because he quite clearly feels that there's something wrong and something is drawing him out there. But it's like, it's almost like this nature revenge film. It's like, you guys are out here, you fucked with us, so we're going to fuck with you. to the point where it was literally changing people's mentalities as the movie goes on. Like, it starts at one point, and the focus point is more of like an argument between, you know, this crew leader and the guy doing the survey and stuff like that, and it kind of turns into like something almost controlling their mentalities. I really like the way this movie builds itself with that. What are your guys' thoughts?
It's so I like that they I like the sort of like unknown of the movie, like you're wondering, like, is this like nature like fed up coming? Is this only happening here and spreading out, or is it happening everywhere? You have no clue, you know what I mean? And then I love the aspect of like where you even get like a science type explanation for what things could be with like the because of the ice melting, some gases could be trapped in the ice that are causing hallucinations, which is a cool like alternate way you could think about the movie that doesn't really break itself.
It's a believable part in the narrative because he's completely right. Because he talks about how this frost level has been frozen for 10,000 years. They don't know what's underneath there because they can't explore it. So you're right. If something starts thawing out, you don't know what the fuck is leaking out of there. It could have been the cause of why they started going all crazy and stuff. Like, it's completely believable. I really like that. I think it's well done.
Yeah, and I like the little like found footagey like type of aspects to it, where you're getting like footage from things that have happened. I like the characters for the most part. I think that Ron Perlman's really good in it. It feels very lonely, which I love about like the isolation of
very
winter
desolate
horror.
It's very desolate.
And there's a lot of good shots too, where like that are just outside, and it's just, you know, you as far as your eye can see is just like, you know,
well, the establishing shots in the movie are so fantastic too. Like those overhead shots of just all it is. There's literally no score. The score is the wind blowing, and it sets it up because it has this like right from the opening shot in the film. It just feels like impending doom. It feels like this is not going to end well, and I think that's brilliant because it kind of gives the movie this tone that you don't want to believe could be true, but most likely is the outcome. 100% truth.
And it also is kind of Wendigo-ish too, which is
very Wendigo. It is very Wendigo. That's actually leads into my one complaint with the film. I really truly think that I wish they hadn't shown the Force. You know what I mean?
I was curious if someone's going to have that. I think
that was a bad move. I think keeping it mysterious would have been a lot more effective, because what we get shown, I feel like it looks like Demon Moose to me.
Yeah, dude, not that I even think this.
It looks like Demon Moose. I'm sorry, they look like Demon Moose. It makes no sense to me. So,
not that I think this idea of this like native, like kind of like demon spirit or as like or is really a bad idea, but I almost think this would have been more effective if they just tried to keep it completely scientific. Like the guy was at the beginning talking about like these fumes coming up and like messing with their brain chemistry. When they start showing you like that, it's like these native like animal ghosts.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You could also just say that that's what they're seeing.
Maybe, but when you actually
know what I'm saying, like it's. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
We do know that there's a force there, and it actually does kind of make sense, because if you play into the whole native folklore of things and stuff like that, like the white man fucking up all these lands and stuff like that, that literally is the spirits fighting back, because they were trying to tell that story. They were avenging their deaths, because essentially it's saying that we killed them maybe back whenever we did something or whatever, and it is kind of a revenge thing in a sense, because that's the native spirits. They're actually showing them, but I wish it just didn't need to show it, because the CG was really bad.
Yeah. I also like the line where they're talking about like, you know, what is oil anyway, but like dead animals and plants. You know what I mean? Because it once again ties it back into like the nature and the spirit of living beings, and the spirit of, you know, Mother Nature.
Yeah.
I think it like the whole film just kind of works with what it's trying to do. It's not like able to do like insane stuff, but I think it works for the most part, other than the CGI, which is just, it's like
Yeah.
Like, especially looking at it now, bro, you're just like, oof.
I just don't understand though, because you don't need to see the actual force. I think like, this goes back to like what we talked about with Frostbitten too. Like less would have been more. You know what I mean?
Well, I think there's also like times where like there have been so many like Wendigo type movies where you never actually see anything. So there probably by this point there's a little pressure to actually show a little something.
Well, I think in Fessidon's Wendigo, you don't see anything either, do you?
Yeah, so maybe he was pressured from the reaction of that film, you know.
Why is that when you watch Wendigo films? They never show anything. Is it because we don't actually know what we're talking about? We can't put a visual to the Wendigo?
It's scarier when you do in your imagination, but I think also
I think it works better too.
The logistics of like when you look at what was the movie from a couple years ago that dealt with the Wendigo?
It Comes at Night.
No,
that was something else. That was like Infection or something.
This one like showed the full thing too.
I'm not actually.
Well, actually two movies because the Ritual kind of deals with like a Wendigo.
And they show it.
Yeah.
Oh, and
there was another.
Yeah.
There was another movie that just came out.
Fuck, there's so many.
3 or 4 years ago. It was a theatrical movie. I can't remember it.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I can't think of it though.
But yeah, so maybe there was like some pressure to show. This could have been the Wendigo. I still want to do a damn cryptozoology episode. Just because there's like so much stuff like the Jersey Devil, the Mothman, the fucking Wendigo.
We could do 5 volumes of just Wendigo films. Like there's a lot of
Loch Ness Monster, fucking. There's a good bit of crypto zoology type episodes out there you could do. I mean, shit, you could do fucking just all the spin-offs of Bigfoot, like the Yeti and fucking Skunk Ape. There's a couple movies and shit. So
the Bigfoots and the Yeti, like all that type of shit would fall into cryptozoology?
Yeah, I believe cryptids. That's what cryptids are.
Cryptids, yeah. Yeah, a lot of people get that twisted though too when it comes to like Bigfoot and Yeti and
it was called Antlers. That was the name of the movie.
Oh, yeah, right. Antlers was actually filmed in Hope in BC, like where I live.
Yeah,
that was the movie I saw in theater. Right. Because I remember watching, going, "Fuck, that's Hope." What the fuck? I didn't know. That's where they filmed the first Rambo. Actually, was filmed in Hope. Nice little tidbits of information there, but yeah. I honestly, I really like this movie. I think
this movie is really good. I think it's simple, but I don't know, man. This is like a perfect type of winter horror for me.
Well, that's kind of why I suggested this when we were talking about this, because I feel like this one really captures exactly what we're trying to accentuate with the winter horror. Because this is literally winter horror. You know what I mean? Like it's the area fighting back and it's desolate, cold as shit. Well, actually, the irony is that it's actually not that cold. It's kind of the weird part about the film. It has its moments, but no, it captures.
It still looks wintry, despite the fact that they can play football outside and it rains at one point.
Well, you do. It's
sort of like this weird world. Yeah,
you do get climatized because actually we were talking about this the other day on the line because there's only 2 of us on my shift that actually are letter carriers. So all the other people that are on my line right now work at the plant inside.
And they're way colder than you guys.
No. They're struggling with the coldness outside. we're just sitting there going, okay, I'm used to being outside in this shitty ass weather, right? Where they're just dying for sure. But yeah, you get climatized to the point where you could probably be out there in a t-shirt throwing the football if it's minus 15, 20 kind of thing. Right. So, but, yeah, no, it definitely captures that element super, super well. I think the scariest moment in the movie for myself is, besides the unknown, why are people losing their minds? Why is this dude's fucking nose bleeding every 5 minutes and stuff? Like shit's fighting back and stuff. But when the scene where Ron Perlman and the other dude, what the fuck his name is?
James LaGrosse.
Yeah. When they take off to go find that, that little town. and he fucking falls through the ice.
Yeah.
Dude, could you imagine falling through ice in those temperatures in that climate?
Yeah, like the second that happened, I was like, he's dead.
They're on foot because their fucking sled lost all the oil. And dude, that would be the scariest shit ever, man. Like that just terrified me. That terrifies me.
Immediately, I was like, he's dead. He's got hypothermia.
It's crazy how well, but if you treat it properly, like you get the clothes off, you get by a fire and stuff, like you'll be okay. It's crazy. Like it's crazy how your body just can fight against it. It's crazy, man. But yeah, that whole scene is super, super haunting, which leads into like my biggest complaint, because thereafter we actually get to see the force, the spirits, and I'm just like, it doesn't work for me. It kind of takes you right out of it, which I think, again, not showing it would have been so much more. But as for the whole movie, I think where it ends up going is the full blown end of the commentary, right? Like, if we keep going down this road of, fucking with nature and the climate and stuff like that, it is going to be what it's going to be, right? Like when she walks out there and sees a full blown, whatever she sees, don't want to ruin it, but it's scary as shit, dude. Like that type of horror to me is so effective. Everybody has like a different level of what they think is scary and what horror really is and stuff. But a lot of the times the shit that you don't show is the most effective. And in this, it's implied to the point where you understand what the fuck is going on. I think it's really effective. I think it's super, super effective. But yeah, it's foreboding horror is something I really love. It's scary to me. It's scary.
Agreed.
Yeah. This one does it really well. So
yeah, I really liked a lot of like the tense, like obviously the things from the thing does great, but yeah, like that tense like build up of everyone like getting of the paranoia rising with like things happening to crew members and just the tension increasing, and then obviously that act that happens that sets the final act in motion. I thought that was all pretty good. They just like basically you said, I think they could have made some better choices with the resolution of this film and where they chose to go with it. But I thought it definitely did a good job, like telling a story that to keep you invested with what it had. This movie, except for like that one part that like sets the third act in motion, like this is pretty much like the whole movie was just like in some snow and like in a little building. And that's kind of like what Fesseden's like done throughout his career, or he just like makes movies that like with minimal resources.
Yeah, this is a great example too, because the cast is so small. Like there's like 15 people total in this movie. It's crazy. Like, the movie feels super big because of the landscape of the cinematography. It feels so. I feel like
all the characters actually have a personality too. Like it's this like everybody's distinctive.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, I mean, absolutely. And like I generally would criticize the whole romantic angle of the film because there's kind of like a love trio. I shouldn't say there kind of is. There kind of is because like Perlman had a history with the lady in the film.
Yeah,
and she's of course seeing the surveyor, and like you can feel his raw emotion too. Like he talks about like how he totally fucked up and stuff. But like for me, it doesn't take anything away. I think that's just natural human emotion in those situations, because this is all you have is just this right there, and I think it's captured really well. It's really effective, and they don't overdo it with it either. Me, I don't like love. So, I'm the hater of love, but I feel like in this specific narrative, I feel like it is effective in what it does, because people at this time want to come together. They want to be reliant on each other. They want to have that. It's just real human emotion to me that you can buy into it. So it doesn't take away from the core narrative here at all. It's funny because this is one of those movies where I've like never really heard anyone talk about before.
Yeah, I don't think I've really heard many people talk about this movie either, but I really wasn't overly familiar with like Fesseden's directing stuff anyway, so I might have not even noticed if people did. I know we did that one movie of his on the show in an early episode, the fish movie.
Oh, right. Beneath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot that he did that one.
Yeah.
I think, Jeremy hated that one. I think we thought it was fun. It's got that giant
I
ass
like that
mutated
movie.
fish.
I think it's fun. I mean, I think if I watch it now, I might be like more critical. I was
Again, it's another film
dumb
dealing.
back then.
It's another film dealing with an environment.
Yeah.
I think that's narrative in that, like, it's mutated fish, right? Due to our
it's a giant
our
fucking
ignorance.
river monster fish.
Yeah. So, but I mean, like I said, like, this is not one of those movies where you have to dig too deep to figure out the commentary. Like I said, it wears it right on their fucking Dickies jacket, man. It's blatantly there. Whether you want to agree with it or not, it is what it is. It's up to you. But it can't take away from the effectiveness of the movie and the horror of the film. It's not a movie that relies on a heavy, high body count, blood and gore and stuff. Even though we get some of that. I mean, the body count by the end of the film is actually pretty fucking high when you actually think about it.
But some of the stuff you don't see, like the first dude, you just see his body, but that's effective.
It's effective
like his
because
body is fucking scary, dude.
And it's actually scary too, because like he's so drawn out by the Force, right? Like he knows something, and like but the fact that he goes out there buck naked is like, it's just so, it's effective because he's completely lost it, right? He's been so affected by this Force. And I just think that death scene is brutal to me, man. It's very horrific and it's very memorable. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just kind of sticks in your mind. It's like the death scene in or the dead body scene in Stand By Me. The Ray Brower dead body has been plastered in my mind since 1985 when I watched it. It is one of the most realistic looking dead bodies I've ever seen. Like, it's just, but when you see this one, you're like, oh fuck, eyes are all plucked out from the crows and shit. It's crazy. It's crazy. But again, going back to the Fessenden thing, where I always feel like he's a self-loathing person and he just hates himself to the point he's got to kill himself viciously in every film. He dies horrifically in this movie. He has a quick little part. He's like on a plane because they're basically a rescue plane's coming in to get them. And there's a scene where the plane crashes because the Force kind of takes over and crashes the plane, and like just gets all fucking burnt up and shit. I'm just like, dude, that is a horrible fucking death, man. That's a horrible fucking death. Yeah. Oh, it'd be painful as shit, dude. And like, I feel like he doesn't have to do that to himself, but he does anyways. I'm just like, damn, dude. All the props to Fessenden, man. I really like him. I think Larry Fessenden is a fantastic actor. Like, he does really good in a lot of movies, man. Like, he's just one of those guys you like. I like him in films. I really do.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but I don't know. Do I have anything else on this one? I don't. I think, I use my notes as a guideline. I don't really use it, but no, I talked about falling through the ice, which is one of the, for me, it's always something that's in the back of our minds. Like when we're at our cabin walking on the ice and sledding on the ice and stuff like that, it always is something that we have to take into consideration, because there's times where we can't even use our sleds because there's so much snow on the ice that the water's coming through. And you don't want to be fucking with that shit. So you have to be very, very aware of what you're doing. So I understand that completely, like what happened there. Like, that's crazy. Other people that live in like Florida and shit would never understand where the fuck we're coming from. But, if you live in this environment, like I'm definitely the closest to where this thing is setting. So, but you guys get your winter so too, right? So.
Yeah. We haven't really gotten killed where I live in a couple of years. You say at least like a blizzard a year.
Yeah, you guys get worse winters than we do. We just happen to get, this is probably the most snow I've seen in a 3-day period, and fuck, I couldn't even tell you last time. But it's all going to be gone in a couple days because it's going to rain. Wow, that's going to be fun. I get to go stand on the line tomorrow in the fucking rain. Oh, it's going to be horrible. At least we actually have like a live fire, like a real fire.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so that's cool. But yeah, you guys got anything else on the last winter?
Is it the last winter?
Well, I mean, as the title suggests and the way it ends, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think I'm good. I guess I'm first then.
Yeah, what do you give it?
Yeah, dude. I this was a good surprise for me. Like, I didn't really know what to expect going into it, but I was like really into it. It gave off like the same vibes as like Session 9 or something to me, where it's just like it's foreboding and like creepy, like you just think something bad's gonna happen.
It's like a winter version of that movie, kind of.
Yeah, I like that stuff. And yeah, I give it a 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I actually give it 8 too. That's the exact rating I have on this one, 8 out of 10. I think I liked it more this time than the previous couple times I watched it. It just fit the narrative so well for me personally, because it is cold. It is fucking winter right here. It's shitty. It's nasty. It's brutal. And like watching this film, I was like, damn, it's like hand in hand. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. Yeah, good stuff. Perlman's an amazing actor. He's really good. He's effective.
I am not as high, but I did think this was pretty good. It was definitely a pleasant surprise for me too, and I would watch this again. 6.5.
I knew it. I was actually going to call it 6.5. That's exactly what I was going to say. You're going to give
thing, dude.
Yeah, crazy. But yeah, you're a little bit tough with the ratings. Okay, so that is going to conclude the last winter from 2006. All right. So now we're going on into a Adam Green film, which I'm sure JP is going to take this one away and talk for 4,000 hours about this, because every time we do anything Adam Green, he doesn't shut the fuck up.
Adam Cream.
All right, so getting into the third and final film here on episode 275, Winter Horror Volume 1. We're going to take it back to 2010 with a film directed by Adam Green called Frozen. I believe this is Adam Green's, I don't know, fourth or fifth third movie.
Yeah.
Wow, we'd only done 3 at this point. Crazy.
It depends if you count Coffee and Donuts.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, why not? So whatever, maybe 4. All right, so a quick little synopsis on Frozen. 3 skiers stranded on a chairlift are forced to make life or death choices, which prove more perilous.
That makes sense. Perilous.
Perilous. Fuck, I can't. Then staying put and freezing to death. So I was fucking watching this movie, and the wife came down to more or less bug me. I remember she was talking to me about something. She started watching the TV briefly, and she goes, "You know what's fucking crazy?" This is her talking to me. She goes, "You know what's fucking crazy?" And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "You know, our friends Dave and whatever, they're from hockey. Their kid plays with my kid." And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "It's fucking crazy that Dave spent a whole night on a chairlift. He got stranded on a chairlift in Ontario."
Yikes. That's nuts.
Well, I
was like horrified when she said that to me. I was like, "Oh my god, this has actually happened to someone I actually know."
It's definitely a believable thing.
He obviously didn't die, but he was there all night.
It's happened a few times. Like I think Adam said before that he had heard stories of it happening.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, because a lot of people say that it could never happen. Like I've heard people review this.
This could definitely happen. Like,
I think
like you might.
happen.
Well, it has happened because I actually know somebody this has happened to.
Even if
maybe not a whole week, but
even if you look at this movie,
a whole night.
Maybe it's a little convenient, like how they set it, but it's not like so like out of pocket or unbelievable or anything. Like,
I mean, I don't think it's overly convenient because they push their way onto the mountain. The guy doesn't want to let them go.
Yeah.
But I do think the way they get stranded is a little bit. Oh, like I need to take.
Yeah, I mean, like the whole get lost in the shuttle.
But they do, but they do explain it away though, because the guy that goes to take the piss, he said, "Hey, we're waiting for 3 more to come down the hill," and then 3 people do show up.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like human error.
That just seems like a common mistake that could happen easily, you know?
Right? Because there was no one else on the like. You're literally waiting for 3 people, and they come down, and that was it. So,
like, are we really gonna pretend like and no one's ever been negligent at their job before? Especially, it's not like ski lifts were invented in 2010. Like the safety standards, even 15 years before that, were probably like significantly less.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
I just feel like this could happen though, for real, because given the situation of the timing of it, like the one last run, blah blah blah, like it honestly doesn't feel overly that convenient to me. I mean, there is things in the film that you could probably critique to the point of like decisions. I think that the decisions are based on personalities though too. I think everyone would do different things, but
definitely
there is a moment in the film where our character comedically named Joe Lynch, which it's actually a trivial thing in the film because everybody in this movie is actually named after Adam Green's good friends.
Yeah, he's talked about that before where he said like he hates naming characters, so he just usually ends up naming them people he knows.
So yeah, from what I read though, like when he was writing the script, the screenplay, like he named everybody people he knew, and then they just ended up being their names. I don't think it was actually planned at first, but he's like,
it was like stand-in names.
Yeah, and then he just ended up calling this character Joe Lynch. But
I think Sean Ashmore is great in this movie. He's
good.
Definitely my favorite character.
I think all the actors, like the three leads, are good.
I think I relate most to Sean Ashmore
because he's like that kind of wild card character where he's like old enough where he probably should be settling down, but like he's not. He's girlfriendless, and yeah, I can see where you're coming from there on that one.
Like, I think they do a good job of just like kind of like building those tensions bubbling over when they start, and like because he does like make kind of like points that like when he gets mad at her and like kind of starts being mean because he's obviously frustrated and he's probably like starting to realize I'm probably gonna fucking die up here. Like
I think
he says some things that like are real. I think like most guys have probably been in a situation where they start dating a girl and then all of a sudden like your friend is like only about that girl and like,
oh yeah, I've had that
pushes
happen.
herself into like situations.
Everything you do,
yeah, that's like
what's her name in the movie?
I forgot her name. Is it Kristen?
That's her real name.
Oh,
her name is Parker.
Yeah,
and
Parker,
and what's the boyfriend's name?
Dan.
So what, like the way I always described it to one of my friends, like let's say my friend was Dan, it's like it used to be like, oh, Dan's coming over, or oh, Dan, like me and Dan are gonna do this, blah blah blah. And at a certain point it became Dan and Parker. You know what I mean? It's no longer Dan. You refer to it as Dan and Parker because
of course.
Yeah.
Which I have no problem with that, like now, like obviously, but like in my teen years, I used to get annoyed because I'm like, bro, like I'm like there could be one or two times where she don't have to be attached to your hip. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like I'm not saying, not that like, and it's not like you're getting together to be like fucking like disgusting dudes and just like talk about vagina all night or something. Yeah. But like it's healthy if
you're
to
going
just have
skiing
like
with your boy.
Well, speak for yourself.
You know, you're going skiing with your boy. If that's something you guys always did, it is kind of a shitty thing to just like force the girlfriend along in it.
And then okay, when he was like, we could have done more runs, but we were like fucking wasting the day on the bunny hills, like watching you like play ski.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's intended to be. I think they were kind of acting like a tree. I don't get the impression that like she completely forced her way into there. I think that Dan wanted her to be there too.
I think it's
just the frustration of Ashton's character because like he wants to hang in with his best friend and you know he's single, right? So he just wants to be with his friend. He doesn't want the vagina around it. I get that, but like I feel like it wasn't her forcing herself there in the situation. It was
I think
that Dan wanted her to be
probably
there.
does it unintentionally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think she is a character because that's one thing I like about this movie is you see her flaws, you know what I mean, in the film, just by the way that she instantly kind of passes blame to Joe's character.
Right.
And, you know, then also like doesn't really take accountability for being like the whiny like girlfriend-ish character, but she also is conflicted because she kind of has strong moments too. I think her character is really well written because it's not one way or the other. It's you know, it's a character that has like flaws and ups and downs and stuff like that.
It's written realistically then because that's how humans are.
Yeah, and one thing that I do like about like, you know, just memory. This was at a time where I first watched like started getting into like the newer movies that were coming out, like direct to video and stuff. It's right around when I started seriously collecting, was like 2010-ish, and I actually bought this like at Walmart. I would go on Tuesdays and buy like 2 new releases a lot of times.
Did you buy do you have this on Blu-ray?
No, DVD.
I watched my DVD.
Yeah, I have it on DVD.
I have it on Blu-ray and I just didn't even get up. I just watched it on MV.
Oh,
So
for
did
fuck's
I
sake!
watched
That
it on-
pisses me off because I don't even have the
watched it on
Blu-ray.
MB2. I watched it on MB2.
That's funny. That's funny as hell.
So this was like when I first started getting into like newer stuff, and you mentioned like in the interlude off air that like, oh, JP is gonna blow Adam Green and stuff. I will say I have come down significantly on my love for Adam Green. Like I think I've just matured more in terms of like my film tastes and stuff like that. And I think that I was just really excited to find a guy at the beginning of his career at the time where I was like, it was the first chance I had to find someone new.
It's okay. You can call yourself impressionable.
Yeah, impressionable, but I do like his filmography, but I don't love everything that he does.
You know, it's funny. I always shit on Adam Green. I think it's more for I don't shit on him. I jokingly shit on him because you really love him, and I just think it's funny to shit on someone that you love. But like, I don't think Adam Green is a bad filmmaker at all. I just, his movies are kind of like Eli Roth movies to me. Like, he's got some good, he's got some, not so good stuff. Like he's not like mind blowing.
I actually don't dislike any of his movies.
Honestly, thinking back on his filmography, like, what was the one that he did with Joel?
Killerama.
No, Spiral.
Yeah.
Oh, Joel David Moore. Yeah, that's
Joel David Moore. I always fucking forget that guy's.
That's my favorite movie by him.
Actually, he's got a role in this movie. He plays a voice. He actually has a voice role in this. I think he's the guy on the radio that talks to Kane Hodder. So. Yeah, he's the voice, which kind of makes sense that Kane Hodder would be in the film, coming off Hatchet. And I think they filmed Hatchet 2 actually the same year in 2010. So, it's typical filmmaking. But
but this is his most different film, and I think it's his best directed and best like made.
Digging up the marrow, or whatever it's called. I think that movie is very unique for him.
Yeah, I like that movie.
I like that one too. Like at first, I wasn't really too sure on what I was going to think of that shit, but I honestly really liked it, man. I think that's his most unique one. This is a different narrative, but I think that one's really unique.
Yeah. I think this is his best made movie, best directed. There's actually a lot of decent camera work in here, and it looks the most less cheap of his movies. Like most of his movies look kind of cheap. Like even the Hatchet films look a little cheap.
It's actually really funny that you bring that up because I was going to bring up that factoid. There's a scene in the beginning of the film where we see a missing sign that's located in the ski lodge. There's like a missing person sign. And that's actually a joke because that's his regular cinematographer that's on the missing sign that shot all of his movies, but he was actually working on Halloween 2.
Oh, that's actually funny.
So he was missing from this project, so they made a missing sign. But he was shooting Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, so he didn't do this movie. But it's funny that you talk about the cinematography. Just kind of triggered my memory on that. But just this one looking really good because that's his regular.
That's funny. But one thing that I remember learning from because like I said, when I got this DVD, it was at a time where I would just like watch all the special features and stuff. And I remember hearing a story of like the characters, right? Because obviously a lot of actors, what they'll do is they'll fill in like backstories for characters that's not even in the movie. You know what I mean? Just like for their own acting, a certain way to do scenes. And the whole time the Dan actor acts in the movie, he's thinking that he's going to break up with her at the end of this trip, which is interesting. And and if you watch it that way, it actually like really works.
Yeah, that's really interesting, actually. Totally.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. So like, but I think that whole relationship dynamic and the third wheel thing is really cool. But also, I think like what I find most successful about this movie is like two things. Like I think one, the time that we spend in the ski lift, because it's most of the movie, is very well done because you're never bored with it because of the different conversations and things that are happening.
It's about 70 minutes of the movie. The runtime is about 93 minutes, but I think they get trapped on the lift about 22 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, that's one of the critiques I've honestly heard about this movie quite a bit, that people think it's boring and like
You know what, man? I've always said this about movies like this, these one kind of location, low volume characters. So what makes these movies work is the dialogue.
Right.
Because if the dialogue's not interesting and you're dealing with these characters and you know that this is all you're going to get, if it doesn't work, if the dialogue's not good, it's not going to work. And I could see people's critiques on this because like right away we get Joe Lynch is the character. He instantly deals with his fears of being up there and stuff by talking about like, hey, what's your what's your top this, top that. Like he's starting conversation because it's dealing with this is how human emotion is, man.
I think that's also why I relate to him, because that's the type of shit I do.
Exactly. First of all, if I was in this scenario, you guys know it would not, I wouldn't be able to do it because I'm fucking like watching this movie gives me butterflies all movie because I'm scared of heights. Right. Yeah. And there's scenes where they didn't shoot this on a soundstage. This is all real. They actually elevated these characters. They're 50 feet over the fucking ground. It's minus fucking whatever it is. It's cold as hell. Like they were in these conditions. Adam Green actually went up too. Adam Green actually even said that like, so since his main actors couldn't take pisses, he didn't either. If he had to go, he held it. In respect for them, because he knew that they couldn't just pull him down every 5 minutes. You couldn't do that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I think that like the other thing that I think is very effective in this movie, outside of the dialogue and stuff, is that there's actually like a lot of horrific moments. Like the frostbite on the face is just not nasty. The hand on the pole, the face on the pole, like it has a lot, and even the leg break.
I've always like, even watching back this time, I always like man, like that part is done really well. Like that looks like nasty, and I love he has this like little touch when he kind of like first like yells like my legs are broken, and like it's not like that like stereotypical scream though. It's that moment where his heart's beating like so fast and he can't even catch his breath and he's trying to scream at the same time.
Yeah, and it's really like well. It's almost like childlike the way he handles the situation, like the actor like reverts to like almost like a panicked child. Like way over your head type shit.
Well, he doesn't want to freak out people. Like he knows he's in trouble, but he doesn't. He knows he's probably not going to really make it out of that situation. So what he's trying to do, he's kind of trying to soften the blow for his girlfriend and his best friend.
Yeah,
like he doesn't want to worry them even more. Like that's the way I perceive his character in that moment. Like he's not thinking about himself at that moment. He's thinking about them the whole time. That's what like it's such a strong character element that it really works honorable. Because it's very honorable, because he also made the decision of trying to be the hero. It didn't go well, which I still think in reality he should have jumped with his board attached to his feet and tried to like land the jump, because
go down slope.
If you know anything about jumping or you know anything about skiing, your ski boots are unforgiving. You have no bend in them. So when he hit, man, his legs were just, that was it, dude. It was like hitting concrete, man. I understand you're 50 feet above. The chances of landing that jump was probably pretty slim if you're not into like, extreme sports and stuff. But I think you had a better chance on the board because there's flexibility, where in the boots, you don't have that. Just talking from experience, I was never a snowboarder, I was a skier, but I think he probably would have more of a chance. But anyways, it's
brutal.
It is very fucking brutal. And actually, so I guess when they showcased this movie, at the whatever film festival it was when it premiered, it's actually a different version of it. Well, not a different version, but that scene where he gets basically eaten by the wolves, it's a lot more graphic. He actually cut that down for the theatrical release of this film, because he just felt like the gore.
I actually think that was the right call.
Yeah, because I think it works, because what we get later on, we get to see with Joe Lynch's character, we get to see the fall of that one too, and we don't get to see that, but we know what happens, because and it's all done by cinematography. It's all done by a shot where she's like, she wakes up from her nap and she's like, holy shit, he's not back, and it's whistling and it's cold and it's fucking silent, and right away he did not make it. And they show the after effects, and it's more effective not showing that. I think you're right. Adam Green made the right choice of cutting all that brutality out of there and just showing the effects of it. And same with the Lynch character too. I think it works really, really well.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, this, I remember him telling story about like the fucking dogs were like really scary.
Well, they actually use real wolves.
Yeah.
So
I think they're like might be wolf hybrids or something, but
I think they're more like they're wolves, but they're domesticated, they're trained, and like, but they're still vicious, kind of thing. So my one of my biggest critiques of this movie when I first saw it was, so later on in the film, after the shit goes down with Dan, he's not there anymore. Joe decides that because he's only one lift away from the pole, and he is right. Every one of those poles, if you've ever been on a mountain, has an escape ladder. So all you got to do is get to that pole, which is it is farther than you think it is because you got to go 2 cars over. Mm-hmm. But there is a scene where the character decides he's going to try and do this, and he actually makes it. He actually gets there. My whole complaint with that actually being a scenario in the film is that should have been the original scenario. Instead of trying to jump, because jumping for 50 feet, even into whatever, it's might not end. Your chances of actually coming away from that uninjured is pretty unlikely. Now,
I think it also comes down to though, like what like some people just don't understand heights and distances either. Cause like I could totally see someone thinking like, I don't think I have the strength to climb, but I can jump. And I don't think like, cause you see videos on like Jackass where people fall from like really high and stuff. And you're like, just, you don't really know. You might not know like how high is too high.
It could be the product of not understanding. You're right. Because like I said, I think the biggest factor in the realism of that jump is wearing ski boots. You have no forgiveness there, right? You can't bend. Like if you buckle, I'm surprised Adam Green didn't have him like his knees break in half forward. You know what I mean? There's no give there. Like you hit and you're just fucking done. But like the way I even watching it this time, I'm just like, why the fuck didn't they just think this thing through? They understand they're in a very, very bad situation. Like the next time these lifts are going to be moving is 5 days from now. It's a bad situation. But like for me, obviously I would never jump because I'm personally scared of fucking heights.
Yeah.
But I know to survive, my best chance of surviving this would be to make my way across that line, get to that fucking ladder and make my way down. I think that's the best choice. I think
also but he does kind of attempt that a little bit though, right? And he like fucks up his hands.
Yeah,
it like shreds his
because
hands.
Dan tells him he's like, you know what, man, those cables are super, super sharp. Be careful. But they also explain away why he doesn't do a read away, because he was not athletic at all. He couldn't even do a chin up. So he just figures he's not gonna be able to make it across anyways. But the point that I'm trying to make though, they explain this all away, but the end product of that whole scenario is that he actually does make it.
Yeah, but I think also you're in a different state of mind by that
desperation,
time too,
for sure.
where like that it's like this or nothing at this point.
It's desperation, right? I mean, he's seen what happened to Dan. He's not going to jump. He knows he's not going to make it. You only have one way out of this. There's only one other scenario that you could possibly try. So it's unfortunate it had to come at Dan's expense. In reality.
Yeah.
For a movie that's all set on basically in one location, one kind of scenario, I think this movie rips by, man. I don't find it boring at all. I think the dialogue is intriguing. I think there's enough visceral cinematography and use of the wind and just that desolatism. It keeps the progression of the film to a perfect pace, in my opinion. My biggest complaint with this movie is the ending, though. I truly think the ending is what you would expect it to be, and it does happen that way. I've come up with when I watched this one years ago, I thought the best ending would have been, so they show up 5 days later on that Friday to reopen the ski hill. They turn the chairlifts on, and her frozen dead body comes right around to where it originated. So that would have been the best ending, because in reality, that's it just works a lot better. I think it's just too happy. It's a happy ending where I feel
I just don't think it's that happy. Like
it's
I wouldn't
not
call it happy.
no, because this movie's so bleak. It's so bleak in where it goes because with Dan's death, and of course, I always forget the guy. I just keep calling him Joe Lynch. But like I feel like the end scenario here should have just been bleak as hell, dark as hell. I think. Could you imagine that ending though? They show up on Friday, they turn it on, and all of a sudden, like, what the fuck is that? And her frozen body comes back around to where they started. It comes full circle, literally. I think that would have been the best ending ever.
Yeah, I mean,
horrific as hell.
I think it could have been a good ending, but I think that I'm cool with this because like I usually want it to be a darker ending, but if you have all dark endings, then it doesn't work either.
No,
you know
but I think this movie deserves that dark ending because it is so bleak in its approach already. Like it feels like impending doom. It kind of feels like The Last Winter. That movie from the start, the opening shot in the movie, you know this is not going to end well. It just has that bleak approach to it, and it really doesn't end at all. Like it's brutal.
Well,
in fact, the ending's brutal.
I think that the reason that I'm cool with it in this one is because I feel like the character earned it. Like the character earned, you know, the happy quote unquote ending for what they went through, and the fact that she
got lucky. Actually, she got so lucky that she was able to actually jump from where she was because that thing lowered the bar, literally.
Yeah.
Like she was lucky enough to be able to get down because she never was.
She was also lucky enough that the wolves were full.
which actually is the biggest problem with the movie though. So in that scenario, if you know anything about wolves, if they're feasting, they are content, but they're also very protective of their kill.
Yeah,
if
but
you were to show up anywhere,
if they're extremely overfed, they'll sometimes just do nothing.
But the problem is, it's one person with like a pack of wolves is usually consisting of anywhere from like 6 to like 10 wolves, kind of thing. There's a lot of fucking bellies to fill. One body ain't gonna fill up like 6, 7 wolves. Two
bodies.
Yeah, but over time though too, right? I mean, but when that wolf is just laying there and it looks at her and she's like kind of skims by, I'm like, okay, no.
I could buy it. You see stuff like that sometimes on videos.
This is like
I seen a wolf get actually hit the other day.
Complaint I've heard with this movie is that like there's so many like conveniences that add up.
I hear that complaint all the time. And
I think her surviving is convenient though.
I think that people
I do think people over like shit on this movie. I do.
Like,
think
I don't think there's as many.
many.
There is some conveniences, but I don't think there's as many as people.
Yeah, I definitely
No.
think there's some conveniences, but it's not something. But it's like it's almost like they use that to write off like all the good things about the movie. Because there's plenty of great stuff about this movie. Like it's talking like the dialogue, like the dialogue on the ski lift and keeping the pacing well, like that. Like even though like you have convenient circumstances that might arise, like it's still like a captivating like thriller. Like even like I know it doesn't have the same effect obviously you're watching, you know what happens, but like every time I kind of watch that movie, like I kind of get that like pit of my stomach when they're first getting up there, like maybe they'll get off this time. Like maybe they won't make a mistake this time and they won't get stuck up there. It's like you kind of like don't want to see it happen to them because you do like all the characters and like understand like the perspectives and enjoy this like tension, this little like tension bubble like throughout the films. You don't want to see them get fucked up. It's not like it's not like they're bad people or anything.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm a pretty big fan of this movie overall. I don't have that many complaints. Personally, like, and at the end of the day, I'm willing to forgive like a couple things if I could tell you really worked hard to make it as believable as possible, which I really do think he attempted to make it as believable as possible. So I'm willing to forgive some stuff if it results in a pretty cool movie.
Yeah, I don't think it's as convenient as people are making it out to be. I mean, I got minor gripes.
There's a lot of people who hate this movie.
I get it.
I think this movie's so like it's definitely not without fault, like, but it's definitely overhated, and I think people try to like look for things that are overly convenient. to try to like take away like the positives about this movie. I said, like, I was looking at like some people like I had like this movie like I felt like read like 1.5. I'm like, dude,
like
there are so many movies like magnitudes worse than this.
You know what's convenient though is Kane Hodder's character who's driving.
Yeah, like that part's like frustrating
the groomer.
To watch. First, it's like
he's conveniently not getting their attention. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's
the
like
part that annoys me about that beginning is they see him coming over and they just assume it's for him and they start yelling, which you obviously can't hear. Like, I would have started throwing my skis and my shit in front of the thing immediately to make sure he saw us.
Yeah, and at one point he's almost directly underneath him. Like they could have nailed that window. They actually do hit at one point, but he's looking back and he doesn't get out and check.
Yeah, but it's like if they would have done that right away, like there's no way he would. You know what I mean? Like that is.
I think if you actually put yourself in situations, sometimes though, you question if you should do something because you're like.
And that was life or death, though.
Like,
you
would fucking break these people's windows? But you don't know. You don't know that though. Like you think like, oh, this can't possibly happen.
But at that point, though, like they've accepted that they were going to be up there for 5 days because the lights had already turned off. They even said it too. They're like, oh shit, like the lights are off. Like we're stuck here.
It's like this on top of this on top of this.
That was the realism of the moment. Was when the lights turned off. They're like, oh fuck. Like they wouldn't turn the lights off if they knew someone was up there. Like they're done for the week, man. They're fucking done. That's scary as hell.
Yeah.
So
like I see the complaints, but I don't think it ruins the movie or anything, and it's definitely overstated, I think.
Yeah, I don't think it's not a huge complaint of mine. I
just know that humans don't always act as best as you think you want to act in high stress situations.
Everybody acts different in those type of situations. I mean, some people act calm, some people are hysterical, some people are right on the level. You know, which person?
Yeah, I mean, right.
You know, for me, I probably wouldn't think as clear because of the heights factor, right? Because I'm already scared of that. Like my mind is like, I'm up 50 fucking feet. Fuck this. Right. I probably wouldn't be good in that scenario. Where other people, if you're not scared of heights, then you might be able to be like, oh shit, okay. What do we need to do to survive this?
It's also harder to actually accurately throw something from 50 feet up anyway.
Yeah, well, apparently you can't throw stars very well because she completely botched that attempt. Lands in the fucking tree. That tree was like way over. How do you do that? That was a horrible throw. I actually laughed out loud. I'm like, yeah, typical girl throw.
Anything else?
No, I mean, I think my ending is way better. I think I would love to see that. Could you imagine the look on their, like the same dude that paid. Okay. My thing though is, who the fuck goes to a fucking ski mountain with not enough money to get lift tickets? Like
that's kind of weird.
Yeah,
it is a crazy scenario because you have to drive all the way there, and they were willing to pay $100. Like, how much were these ski tickets? So I'm thinking if they were $100, so it would have been 300. So they got it for a third off. Say $100, which is still crazy expensive for a lift ticket for a day. Crazy, but I don't know. That whole setup is a little bit odd to me. They even had extra money to eat pizza because they had pizza before they went up.
Well, I don't think they ever say they don't have the money. I just think they don't want to pay the money.
Yeah, that is true. I think that's fair because they don't actually ever say that they don't have it. So I don't know, man. So they're just cheap, fucking cheap.
Cheap college kids, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I understand. I was in college once and didn't have a fucking dime to my name. So it sucks.
I
don't really have anything else. I said some like little factoids about the film, and so I like that missing silent. Those little Easter eggs, those are always really cool. And I think when you watch an Adam Green film, you're going to get stuff like that because he's very conscious of things like that, which we like.
Where do you rank? Like, how do you rank his filmography?
Oh, okay. So I've never seen his first movie.
It's never been released because it has a bunch
Yeah.
of copyrighted music in it.
Well,
It showed up online a few times.
It's basically the pilot of Holliston, from what I understand.
Yeah,
Well,
it's like the
that's-
concept of Holliston way before they did Holliston.
Okay, so that explains why I've never seen it before.
Yeah.
So
I
between
haven't seen-
Hatchet, Spiral,
Yeah.
Frozen, Hatchet 2, I wouldn't really count the Diary of Anne Frankenstein from Chillerama.
Yeah,
It's
I haven't
really
seen.
digging
I
up
would
the
just
marrow.
count. I would just count Chillerama as one, I guess. But I haven't seen Hatchet 4.
Victor Crowley. So he actually hasn't directed that many movies. It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy.
No,
Was
in
Victor
fact,
Crowley
Joe
his
Lynch
last
has been
movie?
working. Yeah, Joe Lynch has been working like way more than him.
Yeah, he took that divorce hard.
Yeah.
This one's
Like-
up there. I really like Spiral because I think
Yeah.
that
Yeah, Spiral's good.
Spiral's my favorite.
it's really underrated, man. And of course, Joel David Moore, man. He's a really underrated actor, in my opinion. Like that guy, he's pretty
Yeah, I
solid.
like him a lot. For me, it goes Frozen, then Spiral, then Hatchet 3, then
Hatchet,
probably
he didn't direct
Victor
Hatchet 3.
Crowley.
Hatchet 3.
Oh, that's right. So no Hatchet 3. So then I would probably go Digging Up the Marrow, Victor Crowley, Hatchet 2, probably.
Yeah, Hatchet 2 is my least favorite of his movies too, I would say. It's
I
so
would
funny because
probably-
how many people think Hatchet 2 is the best or their favorite? It's crazy.
Yeah, I'd probably go Spiral, this, Hatchet 2. I'd probably go I'm just going to count Chillerama, I guess. I would go Chillerama, Hatchet 2. I haven't seen Victor Crowley. I probably like Digging Up the Marrow the least. I only saw it the one time, though.
I would probably go Spiral, Frozen. I'd probably go then Digging Up the Marrow, Hatchet, Victor Crowley, then Hatchet 2.
Yeah, I think we have pretty much like the same, except for like,
The top's all the same.
yeah.
Yeah,
I like Frozen more than Spiral, but yeah, I think his best stuff is like his non-Hatchet shit.
Yeah, I think so too, actually. Well, it's
I
funny
liked
because
Hatchet a lot when I first saw it, though. That was like a big gateway movie for me. Like that was
Yeah,
like
me
a
too.
big-
Me too.
it's just funny that my favorite Hatchet movie is the one that he didn't direct.
Mine too.
Hatchet 3. It's so weird. I don't know. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like he shadow directed it for the most part, you know.
Well,
what I mean?
he was on the set though, right? For the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like we've heard those rumors. So yeah, I think he had definitely some input in that direction for sure.
Yeah, but that is time for ratings, I guess, right?
Yeah, up to me. Yeah, Frozen, man. I said my piece on the film. I think that my ending's a lot better. I think it's for the people that like really bleak shit, but I can just picture the fucking chairlift coming around and that same dude going, like, just the look in his face. Like, fuck. It'd just be horrific and just end it like that. It'd be crazy. But we don't get that, so I gotta, rate on what we got. The ending's my least favorite part about the film, but for a film that's 93 minutes long, I think it does a really good job of being effective in what it does. There's really not a lot of downtime in this. You would think there would be, You got 3 characters sitting on a fucking chairlift. It's very entertaining. It's well done. It's well shot. There's a lot of coolness that goes into the film. I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. Tyler.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite of the 3, but I put about at the same plane as Last Winter. Ed, do you prefer this one though? So I'll give this one a 6.5.
Yeah, I'm right there with Moodz. I pretty much love this movie, but I don't have like a whole lot against it. It's not as good as maybe I thought years ago. I've watched it a handful of times at this point, but I give it an 8.
Yeah, I think that's like the right assessment for it. It's
I
good.
think me and Moodz came in exactly the same on all 3.
Yeah, that is really weird. Actually, that doesn't happen very often. 275 episodes. It's probably happened once.
I'd probably say more like probably 5-6 times.
Yeah, it's definitely it's odd, but But yeah, I mean, for the overall concept of this episode, anyways, that's going to conclude Frozen 2010. But like for the overall concept of this episode, which was to, showcase winter horror films, I think all three films did what they were supposed to do.
Yeah.
They're all cold. It showcases, winter horror, and different elements, different styles. But at the end of the day, it's about, the wintry settings. And I think all three of these films really encapsulate that type of feel. So, it was a fun show. It was like a last minute idea for us to do kind of thing, but no regrets, even, with Frostbitten not being as good as I remembered it to be. In fact, it's not even really that good, but,
yeah, I think next year we should even lean into the whole theme of doing this type of shit too. Cause like there's a lot more winter horror films.
Yeah. Tons.
I'm surprised you've never done it before, honestly.
Well, we could do, like, we have a Christmas show every year. Like, we could do another New Year's show. We could do another winter show. Like, these are things that there's tons of movies. Like, I wouldn't say there's a lot of New Year's related horror films. It's weird.
There's endless winter, though.
Endless winter.
Yeah, winter, you have a shit ton. I want to do the 30 Days a Night films one time, too. I think there's two, right?
Yeah, and I'm really shocked that they never did the third one. It's weird to me.
But yeah, there's a ton of winter movies out there.
Even going back to like the whole Swedish horror thing, like we actually have that idea written on our Google spread page. But like doing a Swedish horror, it doesn't have to be winter horror. I'm just talking about Swedish films in general. But like I would like to do that country as a spotlight because I don't know. I think there's some pretty interesting films to be done.
I would have to look at a list, but
I know Evil Ed. Fuck yeah.
Oh yeah, Evil Ed.
That movie is fucking fun as hell, dude. Like I can't even stress. Like I remember watching this movie one time and I said to Godzilla, I said, what would be a fun idea for a 24-hour marathon would be to do all the movies that have posters in Evil Ed. There's like a dozen or 14 different films that they show in different aspects of the film, and there's some pretty cool films that are in there too. And I'm like, it would be the Evil Ed marathon. People are like, what the fuck is an Evil Ed marathon? But like, that's what it is because there's so many posters, right? It's pretty cool. Someone had mentioned in a comment, I think even today, they're like, what did it say? It said something about, if you guys ever thought about it, Tyler responded to it, of course. If you guys ever thought about doing months for other type of countries like UK horror, Japanese horror, I don't remember the other options.
100%. I wouldn't do a month.
No, we're not. Yeah. Actually, the thing is, Tyler responded to it, but I was thinking to myself, I'm like, we've absolutely not going to do that because we already have Italian. It's 1 month of the year, but we don't record 12 months a year. There's a couple months where we don't record. So we're not going to do another month within our short period of recording time where we already have specific episodes. Like we have Halloween, we have Christmas, we do all these other things anyways. So we're not going to do that.
I wouldn't be opposed to like one time, maybe dedicating 1 month to something like that. Not
an annual thing. Not an
annual thing. But like, let's say you take a month and you do Japanese, Hong Kong, Swedish, and South Korean or something.
Yeah,
and
like
the 4 weeks.
Just do like an Asian month, but like do different countries.
An international special, you pick like 4. Because we've done 2 Irish horror volumes and we've done at least 1 Australian.
We've done 1 Australian, which I would love to do another one because there's so many.
Like an Australian, a Japanese, a Swedish, and then like something else that's like not like.
We should do a we could do a Scandinavian thing where we did like Norway, Finland, and Sweden.
Yeah,
that would be kind of cool. But I've wanted to do a Swedish one for a long time.
If we were to do it, I'd probably want to do like French, Swedish, and then maybe like one of the Asian countries.
I think you'd probably do Japanese because we do Cat 3 shows, so we kind of catch Hong Kong that way.
Yeah, Japanese, or maybe even like Thai or
South
something.
I mean, we did Shaw Brothers, which was doing Hong Kong, right? So we did that one.
Plus, we've done a Cat 3 show, so we've
Cat 3
and we'll do another Cat 3 show for sure, or a Shaw Brothers show. So we'll catch those.
Yeah, but I would like. Yeah, I mean, we could definitely do some other countries. I mean, I think we've always thought about doing more. We've like a French one is long over probably due, even though we've covered some French films in the past. There's
I mean, we've
lot
been
of
asked
good
about
French
doing like
films
the
out
Fab
there.
Five show. I mean, we've covered, I think the only one we ever did was Martyrs, but that was on a different
No, we
show.
did Inside.
Oh, no, we did.
Does Calvaire count in that?
No, it's
No, that's a Belgian film.
Martyrs, High Tension, Inside, Frontiers, and Them.
Okay.
That's the so-called Fab
Yeah.
Five. But Inside. Okay, so that's I was, going back to the beginning of the show when I was surprised to see all those lists that people did for their top 10 Christmas films. And I think one person actually put Inside on there because I think a lot of people forget that movie is on Christmas.
Yeah, that seems like it'd be a popular pick.
I thought it was going to be a little bit more mentioned too, but I think there was one list. And I was like, oh. Well,
I was surprised to see the love for Day of the Beast. I didn't think that many people really
It's
liked
because
that
it got those fancy releases recently and people are finally fucking with it now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's honestly, it deserves the praise, man. That's a fun fucking movie, man. Every time I watch it, it just makes me smile. It's like a super fun, energetic, like well written film. It's fun, man. The comedy's on point. I can see it. I was happy to see the love for Deadly Games too. I of course not Scream Factory, Vinegar Syndrome released. Put it out in Region 1 for people to discover. But of course, I had like the old fucking Blu-ray. Remember, JP's like, that they're gonna come out with that shit someday. And of course, they fucking did. But I'd seen it. A few years back and stuff. I'm happy that people are digging that one too. That's cool. We're getting some love for the foreign.
That was one of my
market.
favorite releases they've ever done, just because it was such an oddity.
Yeah, there's not like a ton of foreign Christmas films in general, but there's a few.
You got Saint,
which if you talk to these Dutchians, my wife's family and shit, they consider that not to be a Christmas film, but. I do because it still has the whole, they don't consider it to be but take it for what you is. Well, I mean, if I'm going to be talking about the film, I'm going to be talking about it in a Christmas sense. So
I keep searching through all these lists like I'm going to find some special Christmas movie that I don't know.
Well, JP's got a good one coming up for next
this movie, The White Reindeer,
Sin Bin
too, and this movie is not a Christmas movie.
I've actually never seen that one. JP,
wait, really? That's the one we were just talking about before the show.
Which one?
The 1952 movie.
Oh no, I thought you were talking about
I'm looking for like good Christmas movies. I just watched this because it was in the whatchamacallit.
What's that one called? Santa Claus versus the Martians?
Yeah.
Oh, that's that was the Vinegar Syndrome one.
Yeah,
I've seen that before.
I've never seen it before.
Oh really? It's really bad.
Yeah, I've heard
it's really bad, but it's bad in a way where you're like Mystery Science Theater 3000 bad. You know what I mean?
I've never seen Silent Night and Bloody Night, so maybe that's time.
That's actually a good one. I like
it's not that bad. I think the reason why it doesn't get a lot of props is because it has nothing but bad releases because it's public domain. It doesn't have what people want, so they just don't give it the time of day either. So, which I get it.
Other ones that I think are worth seeing that are a little underrated are like Alien Raiders.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
Dead End.
All Through the House. I recommend All Through the House.
All Through the House.
Really gory indie film, but it's awesome. It's fun, man.
Brooklyn 45. I forgot that was a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
I'm not actually a big fan of that one.
Rare Exports. I got to rewatch. I haven't seen that in a long time.
Excellent. And I do, when I recommend that movie to people, if you can get yourself...
That's the old man penis.
If you can watch, like I have the old DVD, so it has the two short prequels on it. If you watch those before you pop in the main feature, it really does help out with the narrative. It's pretty fucking cool. It's awesome, actually.
Yeah, it does. Of course, you got Jack Frost. Red Christmas is a little underrated.
For a movie that's set in Australia, that movie actually has a really good Christmas aesthetic to it. I know a lot of people, the problem is with that movie that they're like, oh, it's propaganda for, abortion propaganda, blah, blah, blah.
Whatever.
But I mean, it does have the Lodge I came up on, because remember when I first watched it, I wasn't like huge on it, but I actually had one major issue I thought kind kind of hurt the movie, but it's got a really good fucking atmosphere to it. Really atmospheric film.
The Advent calendar that was on Shudder, I thought
Yeah.
that one was pretty decent.
Yeah, it was decent. Yeah.
I just found some.
For like, you know, lower key. What was the other one? There's Christmas Cruelty, which is brutal.
Christmas Cruelty.
That one's fucking brutal, man. Actually, Unearth actually put out a Blu-ray of that, which is crazy because I have like the old indie release of it, and that one's nasty, bro. Like, it is brutal. It's just mean-spirited as shit, too. Oh, I'm loving this shit, man. It took Buffalo a couple minutes to get their ass going, but now it's fucking on.
Bloodbeat. What's this?
Bloodbeat. That's a Vinegar Syndrome.
Vinegar Syndrome release. It is probably the weirdest Christmas movie you could ever watch. It's fucking strange.
I see like the backdrop is like a samurai or something.
Yeah, dude, it's really bizarre. I personally think it's fun as hell. It's not a good movie at all, but it's fun.
Saints a little underrated. That's a cool one.
Yeah, it's really interesting atmosphere on that one.
Oh god, I forgot they remade Inside. Yikes.
To All a Good Night, man, I think for the one and only movie that David Hess directed is it's worth your time, man. And in what I will say about To All a Good Night is that it's ahead of its time for the slasher genre in the reveal part of it. Pretty interesting because you got to remember it's 1980. We're not like full blown, like 80 was, it was just starting to get there, but it wasn't at the peak of slasher. So it's ahead of its time.
Yeah. All right. So I guess that's the show.
Yeah, that's going to do it, man. Fuck, we haven't finished this early in a long time.
We haven't been starting this early either, though. That's kind of why I think too.
No, we haven't. We actually, we usually start, on a good day at like 2, but we got on at 3, but we started relatively quick today, so, or 6 o'clock your time, so. But yeah, kind of getting hungry.
To work tomorrow.
I'm getting hungry too.
Go back to work. What's work? I get to go back to the picket line tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
collect my $56.20. It's tax free though. It's tax free.
Well, thank goodness for that.
My God, $56. Fuck. Oh, it's going to be interesting tomorrow because if it's supposed to start raining right when I start my shift, I'm like, oh my God, it's going to be terrible. It's going to be awful. So anyways, yeah. So we're just carrying on. Yeah. I know we didn't mention Silent Night, Deadly Night, and all the people are listening. Go, why didn't you mention this one? Why didn't you mention that one? Yeah,
everyone knows.
We know. Everybody knows about those movies. So, yeah, that's going to end episode 275, Winter Horror Volume 1. And we'll be back next week with what's the fucking show?
Stephen King.
Is that the Stephen King show?
Yep.
All right, so we're doing Stephen King Volume Dux.
And Christmas, then top 10, then New Year's, right?
Yeah, so Stephen King Volume 2, Christmas show, top 10 Christmas, and then New Year's show. And then after that will be another top 10. Holy fuck, so many top 10 shows.
Yeah, this is the year of the top 10 for sure.
Yeah.
Man. Okay, so we got Dreamcatcher and Misery. Winter-related films. Cool.
Yep.
Check you guys next week. Deuces!
Peace.
That's all, folks.